That last one we did was fucked up the whole time.
It was fucked up the whole time?
Well, I mean, yeah, it looks like it's fucked up this time too. Like, see, it's like behind.
Yeah. Okay, it's going now on mine.
Yeah, okay.
It's behind and it's real fucking glitched out.
Yeah, I know. It was doing that last time too, and it's like it never resolved itself, which is kind of going to drive me crazy. So I'm going to try not to like look at myself on this because I'm going to get really distracted.
Chat's going. Everybody's talking. I see the chat. It's good. How is everybody? Oh, shit. It's lagging like a motherfucker.
That's what I just said. The last one that we did was like lagged the whole time. It
lags through the whole thing?
I think so, yeah. Like the last movie review.
You guys seeing a lot of lag? Go ahead and comment in the comment section. Is it lagging pretty bad?
Yeah. Like I said, it's really gonna bug me the whole time. So I'm gonna try not to look at myself. That's all right. I can look at the notes, I guess.
Yeah. All right, everybody's there. Zach's there.
Hey, everybody. Sandra. Hey.
We're gonna let some more people show up. We got some like little announcements to make. We got some packages from people.
Yeah.
Pookie's playing with the damn ball.
Which is one of the things that we got today, yeah. Yeah, so in case you guys didn't see the card, we're actually the topic for this show this wasn't even on the list. This was your idea because you had talked about him before.
Yeah.
And you were like, do we have anything to, concrete plan to do like for the next topic? And I was like, man, not really. I was like, I can change it. He's like, let's do general butt naked.
Yeah. It's time to get around talking about the general. All right. The general, he's a legendary man. And it's a very interesting story. And just wanted to talk about him. This is kind of like a true crime story in a way.
Kind of.
But it's also a story about fucking war and war crimes and shit and just the fucking bizarre ass fucking Liberian Civil War and the characters that came out of it. And
and it's also, this is like a crazy story. Like I said, it's messed up because there's war atrocities.
Yeah.
But this guy is like, he's a monstrous person, but also he's kind of a fascinating person just because of what happened later in his life.
Yeah, he's funny as fuck too. This dude's
and it's just like it's this bizarre story. And there's a really good documentary that was funded by the Sundance Foundation or Sundance Channel or whatever. And it came out in 2011. And I think it was called The Redemption of General Butt Naked. We watched it last night. And it was just like, it was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of went into the war atrocities a little bit, but it kind of more went into like what happened afterward,
Yeah. I gotta put an end to this, Pook. I gotta put an end to it.
She's like, no, I'm playing.
Look.
What's she doing?
Right there. There's some treats right there. She's tearing into the damn box.
Oh, okay.
With the treats in it.
She's so excited, you guys.
Too much noise. Come here, Pook, look.
Aw. She's like, I'm so disappointed. That's actually one of the shout outs. We have like a lot of shout outs, but just like literally 15 minutes before we went live, we got a box in the mail from a fan named Nancy. She sent me this really nice letter about how long she'd been listening, and we had been, cheering her up when she lived overseas and stuff. And she's back in New Jersey now. She also sent a big box of stuff for Pookie.
Yeah.
A little sleeping bag and a little treat ball and all kind of different treats. And we have to say we did open a couple of the bags and give Pookie some of the treats. Yeah. And she really, really liked them.
She's trying to get back into them. That's what that's all about.
That's why that's what all that noise is. She's trying to tear the bag.
That's pretty rare. She usually doesn't like any treats besides those Temptations.
Other than Temptations.
That's like kitty crack.
Because I've gotten her like a lot of different kinds of treats. We try different stuff out. And like I got her some stuff at Aldi and she'll eat them, but she's not real enthused. Right. But those ones, she was just like,
she's going back for them,
poking the bag and like trying to climb back in the box, trying to get them and shit like that. So those must be really, really good ones.
See how many people we got now. All right, they're pretty much showing up. All right, we can. What's the first thing we got to do for the show?
Well, like I said, shout out. So, like I said, thank you very much, Nancy, for the big box that we just got. That was really, really sweet of you. I also laughed because she sent me another copy of this card that has the kitty that looks like Pookie on it.
Yeah.
Because she said, we'll give the other one back to Tom because I got it for Tom's birthday card,
Yeah.
but then
She keeps it in here.
I kept it in my own office just because I thought it was so funny and it makes me laugh like every
Yeah.
time I look at it. So she said to give that one back to Tom and then I can have that one. So,
Yeah.
so we can both have
So I
one
can
to
have mine
look at. Which I thought was very funny.
That looks just like that cat.
It really does. That looks exactly like her. And she even makes like little derpy faces like that, which is like what made me laugh about it. I also wanted to give another shout out to Louis for sending us the Blu-rays of Ghostbusters 1 and 2, like in one pack, and also all the Predator movies, right? It was the 4 Predator movies were all in one pack. So thank you very much, Louis. I think I thanked him on one of the matinees, but you know, I like to do it on the main show, like I said. Also, we have mailed out most of the shirts for the $20 and over patrons, and you know, people that gave big PayPal donations and stuff like that. I think I just have 4 more that I still have to send because I had to order some more blanks because I didn't have enough of the sizes that I needed. But they should all be out by middle of next week, I would imagine. But we did like a huge mailing yesterday. We went to the post office. So if you're a $20 and over patron or have given us a lot of donations on PayPal, then look out for those. Some of you got, you know, some of you got some of these, some of you got like the new one that we did. And we're going to send out some more later on. So that's something to look out for. Also, I'm not, because you know how I have, thank you very much, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And yeah, Greg's in there plugging Unseen Hand. He said it was a great book. That is a great book. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys haven't read Unseen Hand or listened to the audio book, you guys should check that out because that's a fucking creepy ass book. She compiled all the fucking poltergeist cases going back fucking as far back as she could. How old do you think the first one was?
The first one was from like 500 CE or something like that. It was like, it's the older ones didn't have as many details, obviously, but I tried to go back and find, the ones as old as I could find, because it seemed like there wasn't a lot of books like that where they just talked about poltergeist cases. So I thought that'd be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, probably later on in the show, probably about halfway through, we'll take some orders for some shirts too. If you guys want a fucking shirt, you can. Show me them flash bulbs, man.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
If you guys don't have a shirt coming, if you do a contribution of $20 and send us your address afterwards, we'll verify, make sure you paid. I'll ship you out a Snake Plissken shirt.
Yeah, because we need to do the size and stuff like that.
Yeah, you need to know your size and your address.
Because I need to know like what blanks to get. I have like a bunch of blank extras, but I don't have every single size.
Yeah.
So, but Jiffy Shirts is pretty quick, like sending the blank sizes. And like I said, there were still like a few people that were $20 and up patrons that I think it's 4 people that I still have to send the shirts out, but everybody else.
Yeah. And that's only for continental United States. For England, man, shipping alone is about between $15 and $20, depending on how big
it depended. It depended on like how heavy the package was. Cause like some of the bigger shirts or, some of the heavier shirts, cause the women's shirts are usually lighter because they're, smaller and like,
but $20 US continental, I can pay the shipping for 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we'll get
I think the most expensive one was, I think it was 27 to send one to Australia, which was actually less than I was expecting. For some reason I thought it'd be more to send it to Australia,
high shipping cost.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a long way.
Yeah.
So I'm not really all that worried about it. Thank you, Xanada. Thank you very much. Enter the Crustle Sphere.
Thank you, Xanada. Thank you, my man.
Also, another thing I wanted to mention was that some of you guys know, it's like I design board games and everything. I've designed a bunch of other ones, but like I said, I haven't had the money to buy a proof because you can't put them on sale until you've actually ordered a physical copy and like proofed it. But I did order copies of some card decks that I designed. I did this one, which is like Art Nouveau playing cards. Kind of an absinthe sort of thing. I have a board game that's kind of like this similar design too. Got some ancient Egypt ones there. And these are just standard card decks, but sometimes the suits are different. And they kind of are designed to look like, various things to go with the theme. This ancient Greek playing cards there. And got some Edgar Allan Poe playing cards there. That one has like the suits are like telltale hearts, like black cats, raven stuff. Those will be on sale shortly because these are the proof ones, which means I can put them on sale. And like I said, I'm slowly ordering the other games as well, so I can eventually put those on sale too.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Xanada, did you? You can answer in the comment section. Did you get your booster yet? We've been talking about getting boosters. Well, he knows what I'm talking about. Pookie's back there rolling that ball, and the treats are flying out of it, but she's not eating them. She wants them to come out of the package. She's crazy.
Like, it's not the same.
She's like, these are different. They came out of that round ball. Pookie, that's the same thing.
It's the same thing, Pook.
Yeah.
And now she's trying to.
Now she's gonna get underneath the pillow.
Well, because like we had an old similar one. It looked like a little like Weeble kitty kind of. I don't even know what happened to that.
Yeah, and it had treats she didn't like in them. So
and it had, and she used to like knock that, and then it would come in and the treat would come out of the kitty's butt or something.
Yeah. I tried to trick her. I put regular cat food in it. You know,
we were out of treats one time.
Put Meow Mix in
I would have put like Meow Mix or like
that fucked it up.
She didn't fall.
After that, she wouldn't.
And now she doesn't. But she wouldn't want to. I don't even know where it went now. She's probably under the bed somewhere where all of her other toys are. And another thing too, and this might be kind of off.
I got you, Xana. Got you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, bless you.
She's
sneezing.
Yeah.
It's probably because it's dusty in here.
Yeah.
Another thing too, this might be like a little bit in the future. I might do this starting around Halloween or maybe starting in the new year. I, for some reason, I really wanted to get back into horror fiction, like, you know, not just writing it, even though I'm going to finish my true crime stuff, but reading it as well, because I'm kind of getting behind on like a lot of the new horror. So I've decided that I'm going to start like a new, either weekly or bi-weekly, like a horror book review show.
He's asking you a question.
Where?
It's in the comment section.
Where is it?
Wants to know where those.
Where are those? Oh, it's going to be on the Game Crafter.
Yeah, those.
Yeah, it's thegamecrafter.com. I haven't put them on sale yet, but I'll probably do it tomorrow.
All right, when they're on sale, we'll post a link somewhere.
Yeah, I think they'll be like $8.99 or something like that. I can't remember how much. Yeah, I can't remember how much they are, but you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, I got a bunch of other games on there too that are already uploaded, but I haven't like ordered a proof copy yet because some of them are kind of expensive, so I haven't like done that yet. But eventually I'm going to have like a whole bunch of games on there, and I'm still working on that Halloween one that I hope to have out by Halloween too. But so like I said, it'll either be Halloween or starting next year, like in 2021. I'll probably put it up on Thursday, same day as the Witching Hour. It'll probably just be a short show with just me like reviewing a horror novel that I read, mostly new ones, but I'll probably do old ones as well. I already have like a list of probably like 35 books that I want to cover, like on, you know, so that'll be something to, if you're into horror books, because I know I had a couple people ask me to recommend horror novels.
What's up, Neely? We sent you a shirt out, bro.
Yeah, we sent, actually, I have to like print his still, and I think he's one of the ones that I have.
Oh, that's the ones we had.
I have the blank.
Yeah.
We just have to print it tomorrow, and then we have to like.
Yeah, there were somebody's I had to do twice.
Yeah, because we messed up.
Messed it up. The dye doesn't set in the shirt unless you cook it. You need a high fucking temperature blow. You need a high
we
temperature
have a
heat gun. So if you shoot it the wrong way and you go, fuck, that's not good enough, you can just put it in the water. And the dye will come out, and you can wash it again, and it's like it was never there. It's heat activated.
Yeah.
So a couple of them got kicked back. We're gonna mail them out. When?
Well, I have, like I said,
blanks.
I have one blank still to come.
Okay.
I got a couple packages yesterday that had all the men's blanks in it, but I had one more woman's shirt blank that I need to get.
So there's like 3 or 4 people that theirs didn't get mailed out yet.
Yeah, I think it's 4 people, but that's just Yeah. But
Pookie, you stop it. She's trying to dig in the side of the damn box. No, don't do it.
She's being bad.
She's being crazy.
She is.
Yeah.
She was doing that this morning too.
Yeah.
She like fucking, I was trying to sleep in because it's Saturday, which is like the only day I get to sleep in.
She's trying to dig through a cardboard box.
Yeah, but of course.
Pookie, knock it off. No.
She wanted us to get up, so she was just
She wants to get in the box.
Oh,
you want to get in the box?
Let her get in the box.
Okay, go ahead. Get in the box.
She can get in the box. It's not going to hurt anything. She's just going to get hair all over the t-shirts. That's all right.
Get in the box. Okay.
You in there now?
No. She changed her mind. She's a cat.
She's like,
she's a cat. She looked in there and went, "No, fuck that."
Well, now that it's open, it's not fun anymore.
Now it's not fun. Look at her. Look at her.
What is she doing?
Trying to dig through the side of a damn box. Hey, stop it.
You're crazy. She's crazy.
Go ahead. Okay.
She's
It's
crazy.
ridiculous. Okay.
Yes. Oh, Bunjip Hunter. I just sent your shirt yesterday. Hey guys, great to finally join in on a live show. Yeah, it's pretty fun. T-shirts with Pookie's blessings. Yes, like I said, some of them have been.
Look, she's totally in the box now.
Licked by Pookie, or
she's totally in the box now.
Hair on it.
Oh man, we gotta get that shit on fucking camera. You guys got to see this shit. Hold on.
Okay, it's kind of behind, so. Oh my god.
I don't know if I can see it. Is it okay, now. Hold on. What's this? What's this?
I don't know.
What's it?
What are you doing?
What's it? Oh, it's cleavage cam. Never mind.
Oh.
Where's the? You guys got.
Well, it's behind. It's lagging. So
it's lagging so bad. I'm trying to get it on the box. Look.
If she's in there.
What the fuck?
It's too dark.
Can you see it?
She's in there.
What the fuck? Look at her eyes.
I can't really see it, but maybe other people can see it. I can't.
Right
see
there.
It
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. You're just gonna stay in there, Poke? Okay.
Yeah. All right.
That's yeah.
Now I'm trying to re-aim everything.
This was a mistake.
It was a mistake doing that. Okay.
That's all right. I don't have to be on camera.
That's about it.
That's close enough. Close enough. Look at all this shit over here.
There we go. That's it.
All right, that's better.
With all that lag, I was still able to do it. I'm a fucking genius. Look at the cat. The cat's come back out. All right. Got to get back to the show.
You scooted over a little bit. I feel like I'm like way over here.
What happened?
Like I feel like I'm way over on the side. I feel like I'm way over the side. I know the lag is driving me crazy.
I know.
I wonder is like something. I don't know what the hell's the matter with it. It just started doing that like the last fucking movie review that we did, like on Wednesday.
Maybe that's going to leave the cleavage cam on.
He was telling me yesterday, you need to start wearing low cut shirts again.
Yeah, we were getting more fucking. We were getting
t-shirts.
Channel's growing faster. Channel was fucking growing partially through cleavage power.
What?
Yeah.
Cleavage.
Okay. Hold on, we almost ready to do the show?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
40 people. Hold on 1 second. I got to get combat ready.
You got to get combat ready?
Just in case.
Because we're going to be talking about a warlord.
Yeah, African warlords and shit. Just in case I start taking fire.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
All right, here we go.
I got my fucking bush cap.
There you go.
Hold on, I'm going to get that shit cocked up.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm glad the live shows are netting you guys more moolah. Thank you very much. Are there plans for a cooking segment? We've been like throwing that around, like thinking about that. We are going to do the cookbook.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always felt like we should probably do that because sometimes when you're in the kitchen cooking, it's like really funny. I wish I still had that.
I can't do it live though.
That's true.
There's too much prep work and fucking, you know what I mean? I get pissed because I get fucking sidetracked or distracted. And I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Oh shit. Then I start, that'd probably be the show there.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what would be funny because sometimes I can hear, like if I'm in here working, I can hear him in the kitchen cooking.
I'm yelling at ingredients.
And I'll hear him going, I hate you. I hate you.
Yeah. I fucking hate you. Talking to a tomato or something. I cut it and it cut wrong. Yeah.
Oh man. I know it is very funny.
Singing to shit. Singing to stuff and cussing at stuff.
I do that too though.
Well, my mind starts getting into it, you know.
I do that to my computers usually,
right? Yeah,
like when they're doing something that is not.
Yeah, I hear something go boom, fuck.
Why?
Yeah, and I'm like, what's wrong, Jenny? It crashed.
I was right in the middle of something.
Yeah,
and it's just, and if it's when something's being real, because I'm like the world's most impatient person. So if something like takes too long to open, I'm sitting there going, come on. I'm sitting there doing that because. This is why I do the same thing when I drive, which is why I don't like to drive. I got that from my dad, unfortunately. But yeah, so you want to start talking about General Butt Naked? Yeah,
I'm getting fired up.
You're getting fired up about talking about General Butt Naked?
It's the tequila.
Well, yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, that's starting to it's starting to, you know, to
yeah, we're only 20 minutes into the show. I'm already said, like, look, we got these new glasses. These are super
if you guys aren't drinking, this is Saturday, and we're fucking you guys, you know, I don't maybe it's early in the morning where you are in the world, I don't know, but on this show, we drink. We drink on this show.
We drink when we're not on the show.
Sometimes.
We drank a bunch last night.
Yeah.
When we were watching, last night, because that's the excuse. It's Friday night. We don't drink every night. We're not alcoholics.
No.
And we usually just drink in the evenings. I don't think I've ever drunk in the daytime. Well, we have, but not often. But yeah, so like I said, last night we were watching there's a really good documentary. You can rent it on YouTube, or we rented it on Xbox. It came out in 2011 and it's called The Redemption of General Butt Naked. And it's like a fascinating, this dude is like just so fascinating to me because in a lot of ways, I mean, you could call him a serial killer. Sort of. It's
More
not
like
really the
mass
same.
murderer.
Yeah, mass murder. It's not like the same motivation, I guess.
I'd call him, he's a tribal warrior.
Yeah.
Very much kind of the profile of any other tribal warrior throughout history. Almost elements of spree killing.
Yeah. Well,
You
because him and his brigade, the Buck Naked Brigade.
Yeah. And it was a
Brigade.
situational stuff, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't just him. It was a bunch of other. It's kind of like gang warfare.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of gangs trying to take over the Liberian government in the name of their own tribes. Now, tribe may not have been ethnic. It might have just been area, neighborhood.
Yeah. Which I think was the case.
I think that was more the case of the Liberian Civil War. But, while this was going on, other guys were torturing the president to death on fucking live TV.
Yeah. Samuel Doe.
Liberia was no fucking joke. All right.
Yeah,
But
you wouldn't want to go there for a vacation.
Not during those days.
Not during the 90s, anyway.
No.
Actually, up until 2003, it was kind of
right.
And
what was going on in Liberia is a good example of what possibly can happen when emotion takes over a society and things can snowball and escalate. And insanity reigned for a long time in Liberia. They're still trying to hunt down all the war criminals. They really haven't brought any of them to justice, or many of them to justice, because they know that to do so would require fucking basically Xing out a good deal of the population. So the war would just start off again.
Because they have to round up a lot of people.
Yeah,
that's kind of.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when we were kind of having this discussion while we were watching the documentary, because I said, this is giving me so many conflicting emotions, because there's kind of a thing where, because we'll kind of get into it later, but General Butt Naked, who I don't know, I'm sure this is probably exaggerated, but when they asked him how many people he killed, him and his brigade, he said it was probably no less than 20,000. And even though some people have said that that's probably an exaggeration, he did actually kill a shit ton of people, innocent people, including women, children. And then he kind of like had a, Christian conversion. I guess he became born again. And now he goes around being a preacher, like trying to rescue like other kids, because it was mostly child soldiers and everything, and trying to get them out of that. And he was one of the few, warlords from this time period that actually did go before the tribunal and apologize.
Yeah, he didn't run
for what he did.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, I was like really conflicted, because in some ways I could see that like people who had been victimized by this man, or whose family members had been killed by this man, I could understand if they wanted to see him brought to justice, they wanted to see him executed, they want to see, I understand that. But then in some ways, is it better? Because that was what I was saying. It's like, and I don't know if I could answer this question, because I was trying to put myself in the shoes of, there was this one particular woman whose husband had been killed and whose daughter had been blinded, when she was a baby, and she lived when she grew up. And I was like, if I was that woman, and this man who had done this came to me and wanted forgiveness, would I be able to give it? Or would I rather like want to see his head on a pike? So, you know what I mean? So it's like a really complicated, and I don't know if I really came to any conclusion about it, but that's what kind of makes him so fascinating. And a lot of people too, and there's still like a controversy over whether his conversion, I'm not saying that his conversion was bullshit, but some people have said that, well, he undertook it just for, kind of like to save his own ass, because it's like, well, the warlords, they were bringing them all in. They were trying to bring them before a tribunal. They were trying to bring them before the Hague, War Crimes Commission and stuff. And so he had to reinvent himself to keep his ass from getting killed. But in some ways, he was one of the few that actually came forward
Yeah.
and admitted what he had done and apologized for it and said, you know, I don't want to be like that anymore.
That's the, I guess you could say that's the skeptical explanation of what had happened with General Butt Naked. My take on it's a little bit different. Being a veteran myself, I think we're going to get into the details of the story. I think what ended up happening is he had she called it a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
And that kind of clicked with me. I was like, yeah, that's what it was. It was a moment of clarity. He had realized that he's like, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah. He got caught up in it. And it was just too late. He had done so much evil, you know, that there was no way to get, you know, there was no way to really rationalize or to justify what he was doing. And they were fighting in a war that ultimately really didn't mean a whole lot. It's not like you're fighting over the imperial throne of Rome or anything. You know what I mean? Where you taking control would save the entire empire and millions of people. That's not what they were fighting for. It was basically petty shit.
Well, and some of the armies were really small. Some of them were only like 100 people.
Yeah. So, but he was, they called him Butt Naked because he didn't wear any clothes in combat. Neither did his commandos. They were called the Butt Naked Commandos. Butt naked. And they did all kind of, there was a bunch of different kinds of generals, like General fucking Mosquito. Another one was General Mosquito Spray. And some of the armies dressed up as women. It was fucking bizarre. And in the case of General Butt Naked, he believed that when he was naked, he was bulletproof and invisible.
Yeah. And machete proof.
And machete proof. And witnesses swear they couldn't see him.
Yeah.
I don't understand it because they were saying that he was coming at us naked, shooting, and we couldn't see him.
Yeah.
Well, if you couldn't see him, how would you know he was naked?
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you couldn't see him, how would you know he was shooting at you? This is juju magic. And, you know, when you're in a country where everybody believes in juju magic, reality becomes distorted. They believe it, so therefore it happened.
Yeah.
You know, it was an emotional situation.
Yeah, Xanada says, weren't drugs heavily involved with these militants? They were, yeah. And he admitted that, like I said, a lot of his commandos were children or teenagers. Yeah. That he would put cocaine in their food, and kind of get them all liquored up, like before, you know, and then they would strip their clothes off and go running around.
A bunch of child sacrifice involved too. And African deities.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it. Where do you want to start, Jenny?
Well, let's kind of start. Well, obviously, okay, so like
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, Zach was saying it's like the fact that was somebody's name. That's not his actual name.
No.
His name is actually Joshua Blahyi.
Yeah.
He's just better known as General Butt Naked. And like I said, during this Liberian Civil War, they had a lot of these kind of lower level commandos that, you know, took up these ridiculous names. There was one that was just called Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Chuck Norris.
You know, like I said, there's one called General Mosquito Spray. You know, those two were like enemies.
They were after each other.
It's like, it's ridiculous, but it's like
they were fucking killing people.
They were fucking killing, like with machetes, chopping people up,
heads off. They were
like little
cannibalizing
kids.
people.
Yeah,
they were fucking they were just shooting people's legs off, letting them live. It wasn't a joke. It was fucking bizarre, but it wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
They were fucking for real.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's funny that's what his name was and that's what he's known as, but it's like the shit that they were doing was absolutely not funny.
Yes.
Not by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Yeah. So he wasn't actually, General Butt Naked was under the control of another Liberian warlord named Roosevelt Johnson. Now, at one stage, General Butt Naked was known as the most evil man in the world, like I said, because he claimed to have killed at least 20,000 people. You know, some people have said that's an exaggeration, because he exaggerated about other things, like about his history and stuff.
I think he meant he was responsible for the death.
It may have been because he did have, it wasn't just him. He had a bunch of people with him. So he started out, and this is his backstory. And like I said, I'm going to say right here, like all the articles that I've read about him, like Vice talked about him some. There's been like a lot of other articles about him, and, you know, the documentary that we watched as well from Sundance. They can't really confirm a lot of the details about his childhood or his upbringing. So I'm not sure how much of it is myth making on his part. So I'm just like reporting this is what he said like happened to him like when he was a kid. So he said like he's originally from the Sarpo tribe in Liberia. Now he says that when he was 11 years old, he was initiated as a tribal priest when he was 11, and this was when he underwent his first human sacrifice. Now he says that after this sacrifice, there was like this whole like 3-day ritual thing that they went through. And he says that at the end of this, he had a vision of essentially the devil, although I think it was one of the African deities that he later associated with the devil. And he said that the devil told him that he would be a great warrior, but that to maintain his power, he would have to continue to practice human sacrifice and cannibalism in order to retain his magical powers going forward.
Yep.
So, yeah. So because I guess he worked his way up through the ranks, and he gets to be a high priest, and he eventually gets to be the spiritual advisor to Samuel Doe, who was then the president of Liberia. Now, this is kind of like, okay, so the god that he was sacrificing to was called Nyanbe Awe. Now, he called this amongst the first 3 high-ranking gods in West Africa's Black Witch Coastal Line Division. So I guess there's like a whole thing that they
there must be an African pantheon
set up.
Of
which
God.
I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent here. Like, not really, but this kind of reminded me of a case I was just writing about in my Faceless Villain 4 or Faceless Villain Millennium or whatever the fuck I'm going to call it, that happened in London in 2001. They found a little boy's torso in the Thames. Like, he didn't have arms or legs or a head. It was just a torso and with orange shorts on. And they still haven't identified the boy. They just call him Adam. But they found out that this kid had been brought from West Africa. Probably, thank you very much, Bunjip Hunter.
Thank you very much.
I've been naked in public before after one too many beers, and trust me, everybody sees you. It doesn't work.
Damn, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So you tried it out. Okay.
I don't think I've been pretty drunk, but I've never been so drunk that I was running around the street naked.
I saw a video of General Butt Naked doing a demonstration, a reenactment of a butt naked attack. All right. A one-man butt naked assault. He had clothes on, but he was running through the fucking African
streets. He was demonstrating.
He was doing the special moves. And the people who were walking by knew who he was, and they were running from him like it was, they were like, fuck that dude. That's General Butt Naked. They were moving out of the way.
Because he was like a legend. And it was like super scary.
And he was running across the bridge and fucking doing IMT, individual movement tactics. That's what I'm talking about. And, fucking pretending like he had his fucking M16. And he said that being naked could allow you to fucking move faster, move invisibly, and your reaction time was a lot better. And what else did he say? He said you can power up your abilities faster, whatever that meant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess you could soak in all the magical powers through your skin.
Yeah. I think it might have been something. He might have been talking about like when you saw Terminator 1, how Terminator would look at something, you see a schematic of what it was you were looking at. That might be the special butt naked abilities that happen faster. Maybe you analyze. Remember I told you about Ninja Jim?
Yeah.
He swore up and down that he had that ability. We used to fucking, because when I see something, I see it from 3 dimensions and this and that. And it says on a red background like Terminator, right?
Yeah, so he has Terminator vision.
And he goes, yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's
fucking, we were goofing on him behind his back. Fucking Ninja Jim.
Come on.
Ninja Jim fucking.
Yeah, I see things in 3 dimensions too.
I should have sent Ninja Jim to Africa. Fucking hang out with General Butt Naked. Show him how to fight.
It could be. Well, because some of his butt naked commandos would also wear women's clothing, like wedding dresses and stuff, or would wear like crazy colored wigs. And carry purses and stuff. So I think it was more like a psychological tactic.
It was to terrorize people.
Yeah, or like to shock people into being like, what the fuck? So
it's
you'd like stand there for a second. Right.
You see it and you don't believe it. so you freeze and they shit you.
Exactly.
Probably,
that's kind of what I'm thinking
yeah.
of. So I don't think it was anything to do with like, I don't know, because like I said, they would go into battle with, they'd just be naked and they'd have shoes on.
In the military, we called that camouflage pattern dazzle.
Yeah.
Dazzle.
Yeah.
Dazzle fucking came from the Navy back when they were planning on taking shit like that you couldn't hide. No way you hide a fucking battleship on the ocean with camouflage. So fucking paint that shit in fucking brightly colored and confusing patterns. So when you see it, you can't really identify it. It just dazzles you. Like, what the fuck is that shit? Yeah. What size is that? Which direction is it moving?
That looks like the spaceship from Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, so you're confused slightly. Now go ahead. Go, you're saying?
I do kind of feel like that's what it is. But no, what I was saying was that I'd kind of gone off on a little bit of a sidetrack about this little kid's torso that they found in the Thames. And they discovered later on, they still haven't identified him. They still don't really know who killed him. But they think that the kid was sacrificed to a West African like voodoo goddess rather, called Ocean. And they think that that probably some rich West African family had imported this boy specifically to sacrifice, like for power and, wealth and luck and stuff like that, as this particular goddess. So that it just reminded me of that a little bit, because it's kind of the same part of the world. And some of the shit that he was saying about, he would take like little kids and he would like tie them to a pole and then cut open their backs and pull their heart out through the back and then like eat it.
Yeah.
Like for power.
Yeah.
And I mean, he said that he actually did that. And apparently other people saw him do that too. So it's not
he
bullshit.
did it.
Yeah.
He was doing that. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if he actually killed 20,000 people, but he did kill a bunch of people.
Yeah. He would sacrifice children before battle.
Yeah.
That was so they could have victory in battle.
Yeah.
That wasn't really kind of, that wasn't just him though. Other ones were doing that too.
It was the same kind of thing.
That's part of fucking African black magic. It's juju magic. They did that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And it's not alien to African culture. It's been around for a long, long time. So their culture and their traditions are affecting their warrior traditions also. It's all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't like that though. You know what I mean? Africans didn't approve of that, but it was around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In general, and like I said, when I was reading about the case of the boy's torso that they found in the Thames, where even after they figured out that it was like, voodoo, or it was like West African ritual magic, they said very, very rare. I mean, normally voodoo practitioners are just normal. It's just a normal religion. They don't like sacrifice humans or anything. This is like a weird offshoot sect because, they're not down with that either.
It's like the difference between Christianity and Satanism.
Yeah.
They're part of the same religious philosophy.
Yeah, but it's like, that's over that.
Right.
So you guys do that. We don't, most of us don't do that. Right. That shit's not right.
There can't be a Satanism without a Christianity.
Well, yeah,
because that's the Satan is a Christian deity.
Yeah.
Or a Christian figure. So
right.
It's the same thing in Africa. There's black magic and white magic.
Yeah.
So that's all.
And Ryan did point out albino Africans are still sacrificed to this. Yeah. They are actually considered children and, by these particular sects. And albinos are usually seen as very valuable.
Yeah.
Somebody said, well, wouldn't like if you were running around on the street in battle, like wouldn't your fucking dick flop around and stuff?
Yeah, it did. They got pictures of him. He's standing there fucking butt ass naked with a fucking M16 and a LCE with carrying his ammo, and he had a necklace on and shit and fucking fucking swinging. He didn't care. It
just seemed like it would be really uncomfortable. I mean, like that would be like me running around without a bra.
Dudes were fighting naked for fucking tens of thousands of years.
And it would just be like, boom, boom, boom.
Nah. Dudes were fighting fucking naked tens of thousands of years.
I don't like
no difference to, wearing a kilt. They don't, there's no underwear underneath the kilt. Same thing.
Well, I mean, technically you're not supposed to wear underwear under a kilt.
Well, I think in ancient times they didn't.
No, they probably didn't.
You know what I mean? Why?
I don't know, what the hell did people do?
So, you just got used to it. And
just everything like fucking flapping around.
Africa's hot too, you know what I mean? So didn't bother him.
Tammy says, it's all I can imagine is this guy running around with his winky bouncing around like Tom Hardy and Bronson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, like I said, there's the photographs of it.
Yeah.
Going full fucking general butt naked. You know.
That's crazy.
With his M16 and everything in public.
Yeah.
People took pictures of him like that.
Well, there is a picture. I haven't seen it, but apparently there's a very famous picture of him when he was younger, and he's, you know, naked in the back of a pickup truck, and he's got like his gun in one hand, and apparently some other man's genitals that he cut off
in the other hand.
Other hand.
Yeah.
So that's pretty special.
In the photo that they did show, where he was just in the middle of the street, everybody's fucking running from him, and he looked crazy as shit, man. Eyes the size of saucers, teeth. Growling.
Like I said, they were all drunk and like on drugs and shit too, which I'm sure didn't help. So, because you know, you get real drunk, you run around.
Yeah, and African fighters don't fucking like take cover or anything. They were just standing out in the middle of the street, fucking jumping out.
Yeah, they weren't worried about like getting behind a wall or
kind of like dueling.
Kind of out in the middle of the street.
Yeah, you know, I guess that was kind of considered like cowardice. You know what I mean? So they were out there dueling. You know. Basically,
essentially
standing up there trading shots at each other.
Yeah. So at this point, Joshua, let's call him that because I don't want to say General Butt Naked every time. His real name's Joshua.
Yeah.
But
and what's funny is that we're talking all this crazy mad shit about him. He's friendly now. You know, when you see him on film,
that's the weird thing about it.
Friendly.
It's like I can't. God, I was very
was friendly, very normal.
I was so conflicted, like watching the shit, because I can totally see why people would forgive him. I mean, he seems like a teddy bear now.
It was the stress of warfare. That's what it was.
But then on the other hand, I don't want to be one of those people that should be like, oh, he's so nice now. It's like, and then like forget like all the horrible shit that he did. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm very.
No one is 100% good. You know what I mean?
But it's like I haven't sacrificed any children with machetes. So it's all on a continuum.
It was situational. It had. I think it built up. It built up. There was a synergy of the warfare. You know what I mean? Hatred and violence and anger on all sides are building up, and he's an alpha male personality. Okay. He's got good genetics and good genes for natural leadership and warfare. He's bigger than the rest of the guys. He's intelligent. He's not dumb. He's intelligent, and he's more intelligent than the guys that he was coming up around. So they look to him for leadership, and they look to him for success in battle to try to get their side to win, which of course puts a lot of responsibility on him. He's fighting guys that are pretty savage, so you got to out-savage them.
Yeah.
And that's where all that shit came from. And he started to get to a point where I think, like you said, he had a moment of clarity. He's like, fuck, you know, I'm becoming a monster.
Yeah.
You know, and
not becoming, he was a monster.
Yeah, he's a monster now. And he's like, and we're not really fighting over anything. Because
I think it did kind of occur to him that it's like, what the fuck, or what is all this for?
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
And I mean, he didn't say that outright, but I think that's kind of what he was
he couldn't say that because the butt naked commandos were still around, and he still cared about them. And he was the one that forced them to fight and made them into commandos over time. So he's not going to come out to them and go, oh, you know what, that shit that we did all that for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they had sacrificed and lost a lot. And, you know, they kind of got bonded together through fucking warfare. So he can't let them down that way.
Yeah.
He just has to say, it's peacetime now. We got to, you know, and he wanted to answer for his crimes.
He did.
He does want to
I will give him that.
He did want to answer for it. But, and he was the only one they didn't go after because he showed up.
Yeah, he was one of the few that they suggested amnesty because he seemed like
he
genuinely sorry.
He knows that there's no way he can reverse all that shit that he did. He's just going to try to do the best he can. Try to improve the situation.
You know,
he went out and apologized to everybody. And,
like I said, it's like, and you know, and Bunjip Hunter brought up a good point. It said, how many people do you have to kill before forgiveness becomes impossible? That's kind of what I was thinking when I was watching that, because I was thinking in some ways, because we talk a lot about serial killers on this show, and it's like, obviously those dudes have no fucking excuse because they did not grow up. They didn't grow up in the same situation.
Yeah, and they're not at war.
And it's not like a wartime. So this is like different. I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not excusing it, but the situation is different. And the fact that, and like I said, there was this one scene at the end that was really bothering me where he goes back to, this woman whose husband he killed, many years before, and whose baby he had blinded. And she was like, grown up, or she was a teenager.
She lost one eye.
She lost one of her eyes.
Yeah.
And, so he's like there in front of it, and he's just like, you have to forgive me. You have to, I'm really sorry and everything. And I was I was putting myself in her shoes, and I genuinely could not decide what I would have done in her situation. I mean, she eventually, obviously when he first came there, she looked like she's like, oh, fuck this. I don't want anything to do with it. And the same with the kid. But after he had like talked to them, and he seemed genuinely, he seemed to genuinely sorry. He seemed genuinely apologetic. And so, both of them went to, one of his revival things or his church sermons or whatever. And, but in a way that kind of made me uncomfortable too, because it seemed like he was using them to be like, oh, see, I killed this woman's husband and fucked up this girl and they forgave me. So I don't know. It's like, it just seems like, I want to, like, because he seems, I know this is a weird thing to say, but he seems like such a nice man, even though he did all these horrible things. But then in some things that he does seem kind of self-serving in the way that he wants everyone to forgive him. And the narrative of, because you see this a lot, particularly in evangelical circles. I think they're really into the idea of like, I was like one of the world's worst sinners, which this guy obviously would have been if you kind of look at it through that framework. Like, I killed 20,000 people or whatever. And now I've found Jesus, and I'm like trying to redeem myself, and I'm going around apologizing, which is good, but it can seem a little cynical also, because I don't know. It's just, there's something about it that kind of bothers me still.
You're also not dealing with the same culture.
True.
Okay. This is a culture where religion and magic are blurred. All right. Well, that's the same thing for them. And he's a guy, you're not talking about an Albert Einstein type guy. You're not talking about a guy with a formal education or anything. He was not educated. He's of good intelligence. All right. I'd say he's probably about 130 IQ, probably.
He's very shrewd.
Yeah. But he's carrying a heavy load of guilt. I know he is.
He did come across he did genuinely feel bad.
So, yeah, it is self-serving. He wants to be forgiven because he regrets it. And he wants the load taken off of him. All right.
Yeah.
But he does know that, you know what I mean, that he killed all these people, and probably for no real reason.
He does seem very self-aware.
Yeah, he knows. He knows.
Because he did say, because at one point he kind of said, he goes to this one guy whose legs he had shot off. Like the guy had no legs and he was like in a wheelchair. And he said something that kind of bothered me at first. He said, "You have to forgive me." And I said to him, I was like, he doesn't really have to. No, you don't have to forgive somebody that did that to you. I probably wouldn't.
But I think that was also, you're reading too much into the language. Their English isn't that good. You notice that there's a lot of their terminology was not real precise. You're not dealing with formally educated people who are really precise in the way they word things. You have to forgive me, I think, might just mean, please forgive me.
Yeah, maybe he didn't mean it like that. It's just the way that he worded it like that was kind of unfortunate.
I think it just meant
because I was like, no one has to forgive you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think you're reading too much into the wording. He just meant, please forgive me, is what he meant.
Graham Townsend said, "Would you forgive Stalin or Hitler?" I had thought the same thing, like when I was watching that. If Hitler had come out, instead of like blowing his brains out, good riddance.
No.
But if he had come out later on and said that he was actually sorry for doing that, it's like, I don't think anyone would have forgiven him.
No, very different situation, because Stalin and Hitler were conducting what's called institutional or highly organized evil.
That's true. They did
Very
actually kind of
fucking-
more. I feel like
very
in this situation, like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's better. Those people are still dead, but I don't think as much. They didn't put as much thought into it.
Yeah.
I mean, Hitler and Stalin put thought into
right.
that
And
shit.
also, they weren't in any personal immediate danger
True.
from any of these people that they were killing. Butt Naked was in danger. He was at the front of the battle. You know what I mean? He was being shot at along with everybody else. So he'd lash out and kill anybody he thought was an enemy at any moment. You know, but he could be killed also at any. You're dealing with PTSD type behavior also. You're not dealing with a person who's thinking things out rationally. This is all impulse, immediate impulse and emotion. So you're not talking about somebody who's clearly thought this through.
Yeah, that they
Yeah.
have. I mean, the thing about Hitler and Stalin is that
It's
they had
clearly thought out.
institutions in
Yeah.
place for doing that specific thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly Hitler, who had all
Yeah.
these fucking camps built and shit like that. And this is what we're
Yeah.
gonna do.
I would say also Stalin. Stalin was even more cold-blooded.
Yeah.
I mean, being an enemy of the Nazis was going to put you in the grave. Being a friend of the commies would put you in your grave. They killed enemy and friend alike. Cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Fucking
Well,
blood.
that's the scary thing about
Cold-blooded.
authoritarian
Right.
type things like that is that you never know when they're gonna. You might be in their good graces
Yeah.
now, but it's like tomorrow they might decide they don't like you anymore.
At least with the German National Socialist Party or the Nazis, at least you knew who their enemies were. They clearly told you who their enemies were. Not the communists. The communists would kill a good communist. If you were too good of a communist, they'd kill you. They'd go, oh, so he's a threat to my fucking promotions. This guy's a threat. And or they also some guys in the communist regime were kind of forced into the communist regime and hated it, but they had to play along. And they took their frustrations out on good communists. They're like, fuck that motherfucker. I'm gonna send him to Gulag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It didn't see.
Well, it
I'm gonna
was
send him
all
over.
very backstabbing. and
Yeah,
stuff.
backstabbing bitches.
Yeah. Maria asked, it's like, did he offer to provide concrete economic and social support for the blinded girl? What he
That
did
bitch had no money.
Well, what he did end up doing, and
Yeah.
what happened later on.
Yeah.
Because, like I said,
She
evangelical
was only blind in
Christians.
one eye.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not good.
Well,
either.
no, she wasn't blinded.
But-
She was
right.
only blind in one eye.
Evangelical Christians in the U.S. Have actually been sending him money because, like I said, they love a redemption story.
Yeah.
And the worse that you are to start with, and because it took you so much more to get to that point. It's like, look how evil this person was, and they were redeemed, and Jesus loves them, and blah blah blah. So
That's
so
a
they
good selling story.
so they love that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that narrative, they love
Yeah.
that. So there are actually some evangelical Christian groups in the U.S. Or it's not like a whole group, but it was like a few couples, and they do actually send him money. Now I don't know if this is true or not because he did. For a time, he did like open a center. He has like a house where he houses a lot of the ex-child soldiers that he forced into service, because a lot of them were forced into service, or because they didn't have any other opportunities and they didn't have anything else to do. They were orphans or whatever. So he did like have a house for them to stay in. He actually did try to convert them, and he has like all these rules, like you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't do this, that, you can't fight, you can't do this and that and the other. And it does seem like he was trying to improve their lives in some ways. Like he got them driver's licenses. He tried to, and like the UN came into and we're trying to like, give them job training and various other things. I'm not sure like overall how success, because there's allegations that he took some of the money for himself and didn't use all of it for what its intended purpose was. I don't know how true that. Like I said, I've read some articles that said that he didn't use all the money for them, but he did use some of it for them, like buying them food and stuff.
Yeah, he's not a rich guy. He's basically a traveling preacher, begging for money, really. And I think he gets most of his money like you said, from Christians overseas.
Yeah.
But I think he has a house he has a wife and some kids.
Yeah.
But he's not with them most of the time. And I think right now, he's on the border. He's just across the border in Ghana.
He did go to Ghana because,
Ghana,
there were some...
as the regime started to change out, they started to kind of like hunt down what they called war criminals from that era. But that government, you know what I mean, who they're going to consider a war criminal is probably somebody who was on the opposite side of them. You know, they're not going to fucking go after their own war criminals, the other war criminals. You know, so it's difficult to know what's true coming out of a place like Liberia.
Well, and the lists they came up with, it's like, it was kind of weird because it seemed like they suggested, I mean, the thing about the tribunal was that they had a tribunal, you know, they, you know, showed it on TV. It was live on the radio. It was like a big, like everybody watched it, like in Liberia. But the tribunal essentially didn't really have any power. They were just like making suggestions. Like, we think this person should be convicted, or we think this person should, you know, face justice at The Hague or whatever for war crimes. But they didn't really have any power to back it up. Like, they couldn't actually do anything about it.
Yeah.
So they did actually suggest amnesty for General Butt Naked, but a lot of the other war criminals, they didn't. But the weird thing too was that some of the people that they didn't suggest amnesty for hadn't actually killed anyone directly, but had just funded, you know, some of the warlords that had killed people. Like, there was one, I think there was one woman, and she became like some kind of high up in the government like later, and she had given like $10,000 to one of the warlords at some point in the past, and she was on the war criminals list too, even though she hadn't directly killed anyone.
Right.
So they thought it was very weird that, you know, General Butt Naked wasn't on the war criminals, you know, or was suggested amnesty, but she wasn't.
It's going to be African politics running all that shit.
You know what I mean? But like I said, it was kind of a moot point because that tribunal didn't really have any power to do anything.
They can't go after any of those guys because it would tear the fucking Liberia apart. They'd just go back to fighting. That's
why some people in the country, because they interviewed kind of a lot of people on both sides of the issue. Like, do we think that we should give him amnesty? Do we think he should be prosecuted? And some people were like, yes, we want to see him prosecuted because of all the shit that he did. But some people said, you know, it wouldn't serve anyone anything, because it's like, he seems like he's sorry now. He doesn't look like he's going to do anything else. And if we started prosecuting all these people, would it just kick up all these civil wars again, which nobody wants?
It would.
So I can kind of see both things. So it seems like almost kind of like he got away with murder. But then in some ways, if you did go after him, would it just make it worse down the line?
He got away with murder, but so did all the other ones.
Right.
And, you know, he was only one of them. There was a bunch of other ones that no one's heard a peep out of. And they haven't come forward or fessed up to what they did or helped anybody. They're just laying low.
Yeah.
I think he's the least of their troubles. You know, he's just not.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really see him going back to that.
Yeah.
You know, unless everything just descended into chaos once again, in which case he probably wouldn't be the only one that did it.
I think he would probably go to Ghana. He'd run.
I mean, yeah, because that's what he did
he didn't want to
later.
Yeah.
So that was kind of another thing, you know, that he did actually go to Ghana, and like a lot of the, you know, child soldiers who had then grown up at that point, and he was kind of giving them a place to live and a kind of a purpose, like finding them jobs and things. And they were kind of upset that he had taken off and left. And his wife and kids were also kind of upset that he had taken off and left, because she was just kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to do this by myself, so I don't know where the fuck he went. So she was kind of mad, but I think they're still married as far as I could tell. So it does seem like if shit went down again, he would probably just take off, which I guess is the best possible solution. It's just like, it's such a complicated issue that I just really don't know if there's a good solution for anything, because I like to think, I don't know. It's, again, I'm kind of going back to trying to put myself in this one particular woman's position, where if somebody who had done something horrible to me, you know, came and was actually like with actual contrition and was actually like apologizing for it, I don't know if I would buy it, and I don't know if I would accept it. I probably wouldn't, because I'm kind of spiteful like that. But I'm always kind of like, if you were an adult, it's one thing if you were like, you know, super fucked up on drugs, or you were drunk, or you were a kid or something like that. I'll give you more leeway in that situation. But if you were a grown up and if you're in your right mind and you still did that fucked up shit, it's like, it doesn't do me any good to like apologize for it now, because you should have thought of that before you fucking did it in the first place. You know what I mean? I'm kind of more that kind of person. So I don't know if I would have accepted it or not, but I can see how.
Yeah, the Liberian Civil War was not a normal situation.
That's true.
It was the collapse of fucking a collapse of a civilization that was all ready to corrupt to begin with. And it was just like a bunch of warlords struggling for power. And if you were in that game, you know what I mean? And he got into that game. Next thing you knew, it turned him into a damn monster.
Yeah. And like you said, he wasn't the only, like I said, not excusing it, but he wasn't the only one that did all that kind of shit.
And it was, you're in a kind of do or die type situation. If you're not 100% vicious and fighting like crazy, you could fall into the hands of the enemy originally if they won. And what they would do to you was a fate worse than death. I mean, they damn tortured the president to death on live television.
They did.
You know what I mean? So if you were General Butt Naked, you were also fighting for your life.
Well, yeah, and I feel like after Samuel Doe got executed by the other side, because General Butt Naked was on the same side as Doe.
Yeah.
So after that happened,
what they would have done,
that's what made him get the fuck out and go to Ghana, because he's like, oh well, I'm next on the chopping block.
This is Conan level fucking warfare.
It is.
It just happens to have M16s and
it's sad because there's like, you know, there's tons of people there, and you could see it like when they did the tribunal. And he came forward and said, and they asked him how many people he had killed and what he did. And he said 20,000 people. Every single person in the room just gasped aloud. Like they couldn't believe it. Yeah. But they did they were happy that he had turned up, because I believe he was the only one that did. Yeah. That was accused. And
a lot of people laughed, though. When he said 20,000, people on the street started laughing. Says he didn't kill that many.
Yeah, most people like
he's bragging.
And I've read a lot of, which is fucked up. I mean, that's not something to brag about, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, I've read a lot of stuff, even journalists that have been over there, like, you know, sociologists stuff that have lived over there, like since the 70s or whatever. And they're like, look, this, you know, we're not saying what he did was good, but it's like, he probably didn't kill 20,000 people. It's myth making. Yeah. And he's very aware that that's what he's doing. They're like all the shit about him being like, you know, doing the tribal shit when he was 11 and like, you know, getting to the top by like engaging in like these tribal combat and all this other kind of stuff. They're like, that is probably bullshit. Like most of it, they're like, it's probably just exaggerated.
You got to give yourself a good traditional story.
Yeah. He's trying to just give himself like an exciting narrative, because he knows that once that time period had passed, like all the Liberian civil wars had passed, they're like, a lot of the warlords had to quote unquote reinvent themselves, and they're like, that's essentially what he's doing, is he's making himself this kind of mythical figure, like almost like a folk hero, right? Kind of.
He's trying to emblazon himself into the damn culture and heritage, the cultural heritage of Liberia. Yeah. To make himself, like I said, a folk hero, you know, a Jeremiah Johnson style motherfuckers.
And I think that he's very aware that that's what he's doing. He seems to be very aware that that's what he's doing. It's like, so some of it is, I'm not saying that he's not genuinely sorry for what he did. He does seem to be, but he's also very, I mean, he's written like 5 books too that he's trying to sell. And like I said, he's been on like tons of different.
Well, it's a hell of a story, man.
It is.
We haven't even told his war stories.
Not really.
He has some fucking badass war stories.
Yeah.
It's like some shit straight out of Conan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, whether this is bullshit or not, I don't really know. But he said how he got to the top of the heap, like, you know, in the, you know, priesthood or whatever, was through combat, like the African version of the Kumite, I guess. So that's how he gets to the top, because that's how they picked who got to be like the high priest.
Man, we're gonna have to
whoever was the biggest person and could like beat the shit.
I would love to see Steven Seagal go down there to go fucking hang out with General Butt Naked and see how if Butt Naked calls bullshit on fucking Steven Seagal.
I would pay to see that, actually. Yeah, that would be very funny. Shit. That would be very funny.
Steven would be
and you know, it's weird because speaking of Kumite, that was another thing that General Butt Naked would do with his child soldiers. Not only would he give them cocaine and booze, but he would also show them Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Yeah. Because you have to the kids that he had fighting, some of them were as young as 9, you guys. And he liked a lot of them liked child soldiers because, you know, they were very malleable. And, you know, because you could kind of say, and they weren't afraid of dying.
They're not afraid of death. Yeah.
So he would show them all these like American action movies. Yeah. So, and he said this specifically, he said, because so you could see, he's like, I would show them one action movie and all these people got killed. And then I would show them another one with the same actor in it to show them that he was alive again. So it would almost seem like it wasn't real.
No, he was trying to teach them that you came back in the next movie.
Yeah.
Like a reincarnation.
Yeah.
He was showing them that, look, Dolph Lundgren died in this movie, but in the next movie, he's alive again, and you're the same way. If you die, you'll come back.
So he was trying to take their fear of death away, essentially.
And well, little kids fucking think they're invincible anyway.
They do,
and they love to have some kind of job. Yeah, and you give them a gun, they just fucking love it.
You can see that. Yeah, they just looked like they were having the fucking best time.
They fucking love it. There's this weird. They forced those young boys to become child soldiers. There's a whole process, and it's well fucking documented.
Well, some of them were forced, but some of them did join.
There's a couple different ways that they do it. All right, I've studied how they do it, and there's a couple different ways. Some of the most brutal ways is to make them kill their own parents.
Yeah,
and they break into their house. The army moves into the village. They get into the house and they tell the kids, "Fucking, you kill your parents, or I kill you." Well, they kill their parents. And then afterwards, they say, "You're in the army now." And then they fucking take them away from the village, and they said, "You killed your own parents because you're weak." A strong boy would have fucking chosen death.
Yeah.
Okay. But because you're weak, you killed your own parents, and we're going to make you strong. All right. So you can face death, you know what I mean, like a hero. And that's how they fucking do it. And they says, the kid that killed their own parents, that was a coward, and he's gone now. We're gonna make you into a new person. All right. One that can face death, with bravery. So it's a lot more sophisticated than you think. It works.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, you can, if you get them young enough.
Yeah. And then a few years later, it's like that didn't even happen to them. That was another kid. You can call it brainwashing. You've erased the other, because they're ashamed of what they did. So they have to erase that personality with a new one.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is easier than it sounds.
Yeah.
Really.
CIA has been doing mind control for a long time, back to the 60s. We talked about that earlier on the show, and what they were doing up in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's been rumored, I don't want to get into it, but there's rumored of what they were doing to fucking force multiple personalities into fucking girls through sexual abuse to turn them into assassins. That was another one thing it was the Nazis had found that out.
I mean, the thing is, I think that the reason, I don't know if you could, I mean, obviously there's been programs to do this kind of thing. I don't know if it's not foolproof enough. I don't think, because it depends on the person. Like, I don't think every single person would react the same way to the same stimuli. Like, I don't really think, because, multiple personality disorder is very, 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 very rare. And usually you only see it with, horrible, horrible, horrible abuse. So you would really have to do something. And even with horrible abuse, because you see like hundreds, thousands of cases of people that went through horrible abuse as children and didn't develop multiple personality disorder. Because like I said, it's very unusual. So I think there's only like a very specific like personality type that would do that. So it does seem like I can see why they would look into trying to do that to somebody on purpose, as fucking fucked up as that is.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's foolproof enough to make someone like a Manchurian Candidate type of assassin.
Evidently they didn't care. What they did is they did it to a bunch of them. And the ones that failed, they killed. They only kept the ones that lived.
Well,
the ones that did it. You see?
Yeah.
It's just like early on, people are always saying, like on another show, I said, that torture was effective. And people go, "Oh, that's not true. Torture was ineffective." They proved that it was ineffective. No, you have to understand the context of the torture. Torture is highly effective. But it's only effective if you can kill the person. All right? America couldn't torture because it was against their laws. All right? And it's not effective. They'll tell you anything. All right? And then they had to, so they couldn't use real torture. Saddam tortured people, and it was effective because the purpose of the torture was not to get information out of the person. The purpose of the torture was to terrorize the population. That's what its true purpose was.
Which, if that's your purpose,
that's the purpose.
Then yes. Torture does succeed.
Torture succeeds.
It doesn't succeed in getting useful information.
It can.
It can, but I don't think
you have to verify it. It's the kind of situation where you say, look, I know that you know this, even though you're lying. You don't know that the person knows this, all right? You will tell me or I'll kill your child. He goes, I don't know it. You kill the child. And then the guy says, I don't know it. I can't tell you. And then you kill him. Then you move on to the next fucking, you move on to the next suspect. Because the dudes that do this don't care that they killed the child and that they killed the man. Right. They got more people they can kill. They don't give a shit. These are all excess people. They're just looking for the information.
Yeah.
They'll kill 20,000 of them to get the fucking information. They don't care.
Right.
So in the context of America, torture doesn't work. But in the context of Saddam Hussein, it worked. Because they were able to kill 20,000 people and it terrorized the population. And they got what they wanted eventually.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the context.
Yeah, like I said, it all depends on what your end goal
right.
is.
But the main purpose of torture is to terrorize the population. You want the population to know, if I fall into the hands of the secret police, I'm dead. So I better fucking be good. It's like preventative maintenance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how Iraq was held together. Fear of that damn secret police in Abu Ghraib prison. The fear of it helped it keep it together.
Yeah.
You know? And the torturers that did all that shit in Abu Ghraib, guess where they got them? They got them out of prison. They would find a person who was a sexual sadist and go, would you like to work with us? We'll let you out of prison. And they would make that person a secret policeman.
Yeah.
And turn him into a torturer.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to fucking train a torturer. You got him out of prison. You recruited him.
Yeah.
They'd look and go, oh, you're a sexual sadist. You raped this many people. You killed. Boy, we'd like to work with you. Imagine the U.S. government doing.
You seem like the type of
person. Yeah. How would you like to leave prison and make $100,000 a year and do what you do for us? Oh, yeah, sure. And that's where they got him from.
Well, yeah, because you can you imagine going to some fucking serial killer or something like that and being like, hey, we'll pay you
and
to do what you're in prison for.
Yeah, and give you a badge. And you can
just work with impunity. They'd be like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some people are terrible.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, DJ DLJ.
Yeah, thank you very 78. Much. Well, a lot of guys running the damn concentration camps, capos and shit like that were taken out of prison.
Yeah.
And the guys that ran certain aspects of fucking of the Nazi German concentration camps were specifically selected because they knew that they were sociopaths and psychopaths. They knew that they were.
I could see how that would be really helpful, having those personality traits.
And they're like, we're going to put you in charge of this camp and this camp. And they had plans to kill them once all the fucking inmates were dead.
Well, yeah, because
that you can't trust that motherfucker.
Well, yeah, of course not.
So that's what I'm saying about institutional evil. There's a big difference in the Nazis were going to fuck over their own people because they knew that motherfucker was a nut.
Yeah.
Can't let him live after he killed all those people. But anyway, we got to get back to the
Ryan said, did Butt Naked run that country for a while? He didn't really. No,
he never ran the country.
He didn't really run it. He was just like a small time warlord.
Yeah.
He worked for one of the bigger. Samuel Doe, who was the president for a while, but then he got executed by the other tribe, took over, and
there's a bunch of factions fighting for power over Liberia.
Yeah, and
he was just in one of them.
This is just we're talking about small tribal armies. I said, it's only 100 dudes or
the Butt Naked Commando. I think Butt Naked Commandos was a few dozen guys.
Yeah, it was a very very small. These were just very small groups fighting each other. There's a lot of footage of some of the battles because there were journalists and stuff there, so you can see there's just a couple dozen dudes running around the street shooting at each other.
Yeah, that was a whole battle. Liberia is a poor country and mostly disarmed. So 12 guys with M16s and AK-47s are bringing a lot of power to bear. You can work with that in that environment. You couldn't work with that here in the United States, man. Fucking everybody's got an AK-47 or M16. Those things are everywhere here. So 20 guys like that, you wouldn't even put a dent in terms of the fucking power dynamic here. Not enough.
Somebody asked, are we all naked in honor of the topic of the show?
I see what you're doing. You're trying to get us.
Clearly we're not, but if you guys are,
you guys better be all naked.
I'm not judging.
Right.
Yeah. So Ryan says, so just a shit show with a small militia. Yeah, pretty much.
There's
It's
a
just
bunch
like
of
little
Yeah.
militias, like all fighting each other.
Yeah.
It was two main factions, but you had, like I said, you had the president, Samuel Doe, and then you had the other guy whose name was Prince Johnson or Prince something like that. And so the two of them were like rivals. So you had like his dudes and the other dudes. And they were like a lot of infighting in between. It was just like a huge clusterfuck. So, all right. So where was I? Okay. So as we said before, General Butt Naked thought that being naked was, like it was like magical powers. I mean, magical thinking. So basically he would just have shoes. He would have a gun. He would have like a couple of magical symbols, like a necklace or something.
Somebody's asking me a question. So Saddam Hussein's torture squad was full of Ted Bundy and Andre Chikatilo. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, that's exactly who they were.
Mm-hmm.
They called that special talent, which I guess that's fucking what you would call it.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of looking at it.
They recruited special talent from out of prisons for their intelligence community. And it makes you wonder if that's going on here to a certain extent. I mean, when you look at fucking Epstein's Island and weird shit like, or the Child Island man who did not kill himself, and
you already said his
girlfriend.
name.
I know. I said it again. I said, and the girlfriend of the Child Island man who did not kill himself. You know, there's the intelligence agencies of all countries are fucking dangerous organizations. If you want to take over a country, the fucking where you start is you start with the intelligence organizations. If you can take over the intelligence organization, you'll eventually take over the country. That's how Saddam did it. That's how fucking Stalin did it. And it makes you wonder, you know, I think other intelligence agencies have done it to nations, but why show yourself? Why not just put a fucking what do you call it? A stand-in, you know what I mean? To rule for you. What do you call them? Not patsies.
Like a puppet?
Puppets. Yeah. I kind of think most intelligence agencies run most of the countries through puppets. That's how I think it mostly goes. But okay.
I was just laughing at DJ Maniac's comment, which was magical things happen when I get naked too, like the police showing up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So all of his dudes, like I said, they would wear crazy wigs, they would like carry purses, or they would run around naked. He also said that they would always sacrifice a victim before battle. And this is a quote. Usually it was a small child, someone whose fresh blood would satisfy the devil.
Yeah.
He said, this is how he said that he caught them. He said, sometimes I would enter under the water where children were playing. I would dive under the water, grab one, carry him under, and break his neck. Sometimes I'd cause accidents. Sometimes I'd just slaughter them.
Ugh.
So, and like I said before, he said that he would take the kids' hearts out. And he was very matter of fact about how he did the shit. Like he would tie the kid to like a street light, like, or a pole or something, and then he would cut their backs open with a machete and then just like take the heart out through the back.
Yeah,
because I guess it's easier.
Almost kind of like the blood eagle.
Like that's what I was thinking. That's right. Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah, so they would like take the kid's heart out and they would like share it. They would like eat it because they thought that it gave them magical powers. So he said that between the ages of 11, like I said, when he said that he became a tribal priest, and the age of 25, that he engaged in human sacrifices once a month.
Since the age of 12?
11. Yeah.
I think he's bullshit.
I think so too. Like I said, it's hard to...
I think he's bullshit.
I think I think he did a bunch of terrible shit, but it's kind of like, and like I said, we talked about a lot of serial killers on this show where it's bad enough that they do all the horrible shit that they know that they did, but then they kind of like try to inflate their tallies and like try to make it seem like they're like way more badass than they are. Or they did all this like other crazy shit that they didn't actually do. I'm like, what you did was bad enough. You don't need to like exaggerate.
Plus, it's almost kind of like, I think there might be a confessional effect.
You think?
Yeah, I killed 20 people and I don't really feel all that good about it anymore. So I'm going to tell everybody I killed 200. That way I'm nowhere near as bad as everybody thinks I am. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go, man, that's pretty bad. And then they go, you know what? They think that's bad. I really only did 1/10 of that. So I'm not that bad.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
maybe it's that kind of thing where you know what I mean when they say you're like negotiating
Yeah.
to like say that you'll like, you know, the thing costs this much, and then everybody's like, no, but then you tell them like how much you really want for the thing.
It's kind of like these girls like
Uh-oh. Let's see where this is going. Let's see where this is going.
I'm gonna tell them I sucked 100 dicks, but I didn't suck 100. I only sucked, you know what I mean? It's like some shit like that. I don't.
Would any girl say that? No.
Maybe back in high school. I don't know.
No, not even back then. No, that's a dude thing.
It's a dude thing. Yeah.
Because what they have consistently found out through sexual studies, I'm going to tell you
guys
right
overinflate.
now, guys overinflate and girls under, because you don't want to be the slut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to be a virgin either.
Yeah.
But there's still a double standard. I mean, I don't know about now, but I'm talking about when I was in high school, like in the 80s and 90s.
It was all a game, though. We knew it back then.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like you can't. I mean, if some girl was like in high school and she said that she'd slept with, you know, X amount of dudes, even all the other girls would think she was a hoe. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you had to like downplay that shit. Guys were like, yeah, I slept with, 400 women. Like I lost count. Even if they were still a virgin. Yeah. But girls, you had to like downplay that fucking number. You had to downplay that number. So that's why they can never really get an accurate assessment, particularly with younger people. It's probably better now.
It was always the good girls. The ones that seemed good on the surface were always the ones that were getting fucking down.
I do feel like the ones that got tagged with that, like that, that they were a slut or a hoe or they were weird or something like that.
Usually that wasn't the one.
That usually wasn't the one.
Yeah, no.
Because I feel like that was like some projection. Yeah. So like all the good girls were like saying, well, that's the slut over there, so no one will like accuse me of being the slut. That's how that game was.
The real slut was usually one of the so-called good girls.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, they were big time hiding that shit.
I mean, not always, but
a lot of times.
But a lot of times it really did seem like, the one that was kind of like fucking that you would never think was the total hoe. But yeah. So another thing that he said, this is another direct quote from General Butt Naked. He says, before leading my troops into battle, we would get drunk and drugged up, sacrifice a local teenager, like you do, drink the blood, then strip down to our shoes and go into battle wearing colorful wigs. And I love this. And carrying imaginary purses we looted from civilians. Imaginary purses that they looted from civilians. So they pretended to take purses from people. They were imaginary. I don't know. We'd slaughter anyone we saw, chop their heads off, and use them as soccer balls. We were nude, fearless, drunk, yet strategic. We killed hundreds of people, so many I lost count. So, yeah. So he basically said, as you mentioned earlier, that him being naked made him essentially invisible. I don't think he meant invisible like nobody could see him, but invisible in the sense that people couldn't like react quick enough, because they would basically just run through the town either naked or wearing wedding dresses or whatever and would just like fucking hack people.
It's unclear what he means by invisible.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he means invisible like you can't see me. I don't think he means it like that.
It could be what he's talking about is that you run through the fucking town butt ass naked with machine guns and fucking women's wigs on and crap like that. People see you and turn away. Yeah. They don't see you because they look away because you're naked. They don't want to see that fucking shit flopping around in the wind. And then you got a gun shooting at them. So you can't look at them for very long. Yeah. Maybe that's what, I don't know. I'm trying to make sense out of it. And I don't think there was any sense to it.
Yeah. We're trying to
He might mean when you don't have any clothes on, you can move faster. And people's eyes don't linger on you as long. Maybe that's what he means.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of feel like
they can't get a bead on you. Yeah, they can't aim at you.
I think that's. Like that. I mean, it seemed like when he was talking, I think that's what he was getting at.
Like you're camouflaged.
Yeah. Well, because like nobody wants. Like I said, if I saw some dude running naked down the street, I'm being like, no, okay.
You put my pale ass out there, I'd fucking be a bright ass fucking target. I think race might be a factor.
I had a very funny mental picture of of you just like running down the street.
You look like something out of fucking Ghostbusters.
Oh, it would be that bad. Come on, you're not that pale. You're not as pale as me, that's for sure.
I'd be catching all those African bullets, my white ass fucking running around through the fucking town. Be silhouetting me, man. Fucking light hitting me, jumping off like a fucking rainbow.
Yeah, you would not be like, invisible.
Look at that fucking white boy there. Fire him up.
Look at his little pert butt going down the street.
So I think that shit only works. I think that shit only works in Africa between Africans.
I mean, you know. And they don't have.
I want to study it more. I'd like to have General Butt Naked on as a guest one of these days. I'm sure if we could probably get him on streaming. Fucking.
I don't know, man.
And we can get along. I'd fucking shit. I'll fly him down here and he can stay in the fucking guest room.
Oh no!
Imagine that. I'd have him over there. Fucking get him drunk.
You got me in some bad situations, and I think that would be like the worst situation you ever got me into.
Take him out to the fucking club. Yeah.
Oh my god! It's like, hey, this guy killed 20,000 people and kicked their heads around like soccer balls. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I'd like to hear all these stories.
Good lord!
I'd enter these stories into like a dictionary, like of battle tactics.
Yeah.
Asymmetric warfare. You know, about how to fight naked. How many sacrifices you should do before battle. All kinds of shit. Imagine he's a fucking wealth of fucking knowledge. You know, African warfare.
Sure.
African tribal warfare.
I mean,
I think it'd be interesting.
Like, well, yeah, it'd be interesting.
Cultural anthropology.
Horrifying, but interesting. But that's the thing. Like I said, you see some naked dude running towards you with a big machete raised.
That's not the only thing he's got big raised.
Yeah, you're going to run the opposite direction. Yeah. I mean, most normal people would. Yeah. So,
I think that's what it was. I think what he's talking about is that you're fucking butt ass naked. You're fucking drunk. You've got a fucking M16. He had 30 rounds.
You're clearly a crazy person.
You're clearly fucking crazy. Eyes as big as a saucer. He had 3 fucking 30-round magazines taped together, and you know what I mean, in the fucking magazine in the. So he had 90 rounds in the fucking mag well. He had all kinds of necklaces on, and he's running towards the camera. I'm sure if you saw that, you'd fucking turn and run. So from your point of view, it's kind of like being invisible. And it breaks your nerve. You can't shoot at him, so you can't return fire. Because you don't want to turn and face it. See? It's just too frightening. You know?
Well, plus, like I said, his eyes are probably bugging out because he's all fucking coked out and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's scary.
I think what he's talking about is what we call in the infantry fucking gaining the initiative. I think that's what he's talking about. Gaining the initiative is what you have is when you move first. In other words, you get the drop on somebody.
Yeah.
And then you start shooting, you achieve fire superiority is what it's called. Because you're shooting, it's hard for people to shoot back at you because you're now in a 2-way rifle range. You know? It's not natural for a person to stand there and get shot at and return fire. You know what I mean? It takes discipline to do that. So he's interpreting that as invisibility.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about. Achieving initiative obtaining the initiative and achieving fire superiority on the assault. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. In other words, going buck ass fucking wild and scaring the shit out of people.
Like I said, because you look like a lunatic.
And you're shooting. Yeah. And running towards you.
Yeah. You look like
so it's difficult to return fire.
That's and nobody wants to deal with a lunatic because they're unpredictable.
Right.
You don't know what they're going to do.
And he's charging you in a kamikaze rush. You know? And these guys aren't really trained to deal with that. You know what I mean? So they don't stand their ground and fucking return aim fire. You know, they're not returning aim fire on the target. They're not taking cover. So that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about.
Because it's funny. I was watching some other like, shows about him or interviews and stuff. And I was reading some of the comments like on YouTube and somebody said, maybe there's something to that because he was in all those, battles and shit like that. And he never got shot. He never got hurt. So it's like, maybe there was something to it that he was like running around naked. So like I said, during this first Liberian Civil War,
do you want another drink?
Yeah.
gonna make drinks. I gotta make drinks.
All right, good.
Are we halfway through this?
Probably,
Okay.
roughly. I don't know. We're talking about the ship, but yeah. Oh, somebody is going through a hurricane. Oh my god! Holy shit, dude! Be safe out there. I know how that goes. I'm not looking forward to fucking September because that's usually when we have ours. I mean, you know, hurricane season starts here June 1st, but we usually don't have any until September. That's when it starts getting really bad. So during the first Liberian Civil War, which, like I said, was in the early 90s, General Butt Naked had a little battalion of mostly child soldiers or teenagers. They were known as the Butt Naked Brigade. Now, this little group was funded by Roosevelt Johnson, who was kind of like I said, there were two different factions, like kind of, you know, fighting for supremacy or whatever in the country. So they also fought alongside the United Liberation Movement of Liberia for Democracy, or ULIMO, if you want to be brief about it. So that was a militia. Now, that was there was also a militia this was the same militia that was led by Charles Taylor, Prince Yormi Johnson, and ULIMA was loyal to Samuel Doe, who at that time was the president. Now, the president was later taken prisoner by Prince Johnson, who was, you know, the rival faction, and they executed him, like I said, on TV. Now, in the documentary, they kind of showed, they didn't show the actual execution, but they showed like the minute or two before that, because I was like, please tell me they're not going to. I mean, the documentary that we watched last night from 2011, they did show like a lot of like dead kids like in the street and like people like laying dead in the street, like big things of blood and everything. But I was like, please, I don't know if I can fucking handle watching. I've seen like live executions before, and it's like not really something I would care to repeat. So I'm kind of glad they didn't show it, but I could imagine it and it was fucked up. So they kind of show a little bit before that, but they don't show the actual thing. Now, the Civil War in Liberia ended about 1996. Now, as I said, General Butt Naked, who had been loyal to Samuel Doe, who, as I said, was the president, and he was executed by the rival faction. So he was kind of on the losing side of the war. So what ended up happening, now this is his story. Like I said, everything he says, you kind of gotta take it with a grain of salt, because I don't know how much of this is like him just kind of establishing his narrative or myth making or whatever. But he says that he was right in the middle of sacrificing a little girl, you know, and cutting her heart out and doing like I described before. And then he saw, while he was doing that, like a glowing man like appeared behind him, and it was Jesus. So he says that while he was sacrificing a little girl, Jesus appeared to him and basically said, you know, keep doing what you're doing and die. Or if you want to live, then you have to knock this shit off and like repent for everything that you did.
And did he tell the story where he got the girl?
I don't know. Like,
all right, I know the story.
Oh, you know that story? Okay.
Yeah. In the area he was operating, he claims that the little girl's mother gave him the little girl as a sacrifice willingly, as a willing sacrifice.
That's messed up.
Yeah, to help him in battle. He said it was the most beautiful little girl he had ever seen, and she was very serene when she went to the sacrificial altar.
I wonder how much of that is true, though.
That's what he said. And then he said after he did that, that's when he realized he couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. I think he had a moment of clarity. I think that's really what it was.
That's kind of what it sounded like when he was talking about it. I mean, he said, because he's written an autobiography. I haven't read it, but he did write an autobiography, and I've read like excerpts of it. And he did say that it was while he was in the middle of sacrifice. He said that he saw Jesus. Like Jesus appeared to him like as a man, but he was like glowing like the sun.
That's his explanation.
That's what he said.
I think that's apocryphal.
Probably. It would not.
He's trying to explain his moment of clarity in Christian religious terms. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
I believe he sacrificed a pretty little girl and afterwards like, what the fuck am I doing?
What the fuck am I doing?
That's what I
like
think.
He actually realized.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, not great. Should have not done that stuff to start with. But
he was doing that kind of shit before, though.
Yeah. I do feel like I'm casting back in my mind because I just keep thinking, because I'm like, we always talk about serial killers and that type of thing. Have you ever heard of a serial killer who later repented, like for real? I know they all get like in prison.
Ed Kemper's kind of said he did, but
did he say he was sorry?
It's not
though?
the same deal.
It's not really the
not
same
thing.
I mean, I didn't get the same vibe because I do feel like serial killers a lot of times, like after they get caught, and put in prison, and then they're like, "Oh, I found Jesus. Like, please forgive me," and shit like that. This to me doesn't seem. It's similar, but it doesn't seem.
There's a big difference.
The same.
There's a big difference with Joshua. Josh was never imprisoned. He was starting to turn away from evil.
No, he's just running around loose, yeah.
He was starting to turn away from evil when the war was still going on. That's very different.
Yeah.
Okay. I think what happened is that he'd killed too many people. He killed that little girl. And then just the course of the war, the way it was going, I think he realized that he wasn't really fighting for anything. Not anything good or anything important.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't fucking take it. And he had PTSD. You have to under these circumstances.
Yeah, I'm surprised like everybody does.
So I think he kind of had he had like what you call a moment of clarity. He's just like, this can't continue. This is fucking insane. So,
which, like I said, it's,
So but later
you get
on,
1 point for that.
Later on, he makes a mystical version of the tale to help spread the gospel.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fucking loaded, so.
You're making sure that you're
making sure I'm understood.
But, I know what you're talking about.
That's what I believe he did.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
See, a lot of reality and communication is a lot in how you frame things. And the version of events that he's giving now is beneficial to Liberia and the Liberian people. And to him, too.
Yeah.
But I don't really see anything wrong with that. I think he's got a lot weighing on him. I mean, imagine if you kind of were doing that shit, you know what I mean? Kind of in a way out of ignorance. And then you come to a moment of fucking realization that I'm fucking insane. I'm doing some crazy ass shit. This can't be. You're going to want to back off of that.
Yeah.
You're not going to really feel that great about it,
Well, I would hope not.
Chances are it could be that he was not what they would call a self-actualized person when all this shit was going on. And he somehow reached kind of like Maslow's fucking hierarchy of self. He got to the top of the pyramid. He got to the top of it and he goes, wait a minute, hold on, this has gone wrong. And I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah, drastically
wrong. This has gone wrong. I got to back off this.
I don't know. Like I said, this is very hard for me because I was very, very conflicted like watching the shit because
he's a product of the Liberian ghetto during the Civil War.
Sure, I get that.
It's a very special place and time.
And like I said, in a way too, because I write about serial killers a lot and we talk about serial killers a lot, I have sympathy for the children that they once were because a lot of them were horribly abused.
Yeah.
And, I get that. But the thing about it is that once you're an adult, I feel like unless you have some kind of mental illness or some kind of something else that makes you not completely aware of what you're doing or something like that, I do feel like you still can make choices.
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's
like that's like the last thing. I just can't.
A lot of people say, is it nature or is it nurture?
Well, it's both.
I think it's both.
It's too entwined to really tease apart.
I believe that Josh was an African alpha male. All right. He was an alpha Liberian male in that circumstance. when that civil war kicked off, that's what that environment created. And I think, and I don't think he was too aware of how special the situation was in Liberia. It was normal to him.
Well, yeah,
and
that's what I mean.
Seeing all this shit happening, you know, and he's trying to up the ante and win in this situation because you want to win.
Because what else can you do?
Yeah, you don't want to lose.
Right.
You want to win. So that's what it got built up into. And then eventually he's like, oh, fuck, man. This is some monstrous shit I'm doing.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, fair play to him. At least he realized that because I guess
that's
a lot of people don't.
That's not the way a serial killer would react.
Yeah, it's like the outcome is
for a serial killer.
the outcome is the same.
Right.
But I feel like the motivation behind it is different.
Totally different. This is a lot of peer pressure between warrior males. It's a lot of shit happening at once. I think it's environment and genetics. Because he was kind of an alpha in that situation of Liberia at that time and place, that's what it created.
Yeah.
That's what rose to the top.
I mean, yeah, and like I said, there are some situations, you know, particularly at this time period in Liberia that are so shitty that it just creates, and maybe if that hadn't been going on, if
he never would have happened.
If they had been born somewhere else, or if the situation had been different, like maybe none of that would have happened.
None of it would have happened. It was the societal synergy.
Because I do feel like some serial killers there's something wrong with them specifically.
Yeah.
Because some of them are raised in really fucked up situations, yes. But some of them come from relatively normal backgrounds and still are fucked up. So I do kind of feel like that's a different issue.
No, serial killers are genetic freaks. They're losers. All right. Joshua is an alpha. He's a fucking good specimen genetically. He's got good intelligence. He's big. He has a lot of charisma and leadership skills. You know what I mean? This is not a loser.
Yeah.
This is what won.
Yeah.
In that situation. This is what rose to the top. Is he culpable? Yeah, but so was all of fucking Liberia.
Yeah.
That's what was happening in Liberia.
You know or at least everybody that was like at the top.
Everybody at the top of the food chain was like that.
Because like I said, a lot of people that lived there were just
they were the innocent victims of it. But they were the losers. Think about it. They were all getting killed.
Yeah.
That's not what was being selected for success. What was being selected for success and power was this.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't any law and order. It was chaos.
Yeah. And like I said, you just had small militias fighting each other.
Literal law of the jungle. Literally. Yeah. And that's what rose to the top.
And it's really weird because I didn't even do this on purpose. But the movie review that went up yesterday, the Ninth Configuration, the William Peter Blatty thing, that was kind of like the whole theme of that movie too, was that this guy, the character that was in it, he had done all these atrocities in Vietnam. And the whole question of that movie was, even someone as evil as that, can they still be redeemed? Mm-hmm. And the movie seemed to come down on the side of, yes, they could be. And it wasn't even, it was kind of religious, but, in the sense that he did all these horrible things, but then, and he was like really mentally ill, but then he had like dissociated and he was trying to do good. Like he was trying to help people like that were in the same situation as him.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is kind of analogous to what we're talking about now, because that's kind of like what General Butt Naked did. He was swept up in this whole Liberian Civil War thing. He killed all these people. He did all these horrible things. He killed innocent children, women, everybody. He just killed everybody.
We considered them enemies, though.
And sacrificed them for magical, because he thought it gave him powers and stuff. Yeah. Once it was all over with, once he was on the losing side, once he kind of like came to this understanding, he did. And like I said, if it was self-serving, I don't know, but he did come to a point where he wanted to help the people, that he did go around and apologize to people that he had killed their family members or he had injured them. He did actually like try to help the soldiers, the child soldiers that had fought for him, that were now rootless. Like now that the war was over, they didn't have anywhere to go. They didn't have any job skills. They didn't have any place to live. A lot of them were orphans. So he did actually seem to be trying to help them.
Yeah.
So he does seem to be trying to, make up for what he did. So So I guess that's kind of the best you can hope for. I mean, it's a fucked up situation. You know?
The difference between general butt naked and say like a serial killer, there's a big difference. Okay. You could never trust a serial killer. That's their fucking sexual orientation, and those motherfuckers. They're not like functioning.
That. They're not doing it because of the situation.
No,
they're very much in odds. You know, acting at odds with the civilization.
And they are total fucking misfits. They're not functioning properly. There's definitely something wrong with them.
Yeah.
General Butt Naked, there's really nothing wrong with him. He's a high functioning individual. Like I said. Good leadership skills, good quality. He's a good
like a normal person.
He is a normal person,
which is really weird when you see him because it's you think of all the shit that he did.
I wouldn't say he's normal. He's talented. He's a talented guy.
That's what I mean.
Puts on a good fucking show when he's preaching, and he's above average. It was the situation. He was a situational killer. He was a fucking good African warrior, and what that required, what rose to the top. In the times of the Liberian Civil War was fucking a ruthless guy who believed in fucking black magic and used terror as a weapon. This is all very primitive stuff, but it's really at the heart of all warfare. Even organized warfare that I was involved in. Really behind it is just petty jealousy and greed.
Yeah.
Of guys and corporations pushing the war because, hey, that'll look good on the quarterly earnings. Well,
cha-ching, yeah.
So, and blah, 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 blah. So we just have a more fancier way and a bigger, you know what I mean? And we profit off of it more, He's operating at the level of, say, like a small unit commander, like a sergeant.
Yeah.
He's got his 15 guys and they're out there trying to win these little battles.
Yeah, like I said, it was like a small unit, essentially, like a small one.
Right, he's operating at the Conan / Road Warrior level, kind of like Wes from fucking Road Warrior. That's who you're dealing with. That's not that unusual. A lot of guys like that, and throughout history, and a lot of great men were like that through history. Genghis Khan was like that. You can call him a great man or a terrible man, but left his mark in history. Gave birth to a lot of children, so genetically, evidently, was success.
We're all related.
We're all related to Genghis Khan, his badass. You know what I mean? So
he slung that dick around.
Nature kind of dictates what wins, and in Liberia at that time, guys like General Butt Naked were winning. The situation changed, and you know what I mean. They got kind of the shitty end of the stick, but that's the way the world works.
Well, the world isn't fair, and the world doesn't care about
right.
you.
And warfare and warriors are temporary. Warfare is temporary, and warriors are not monolithic. They come and go. There's a time and place for everything, and that time passed. But the difference is that I could never sit down and fucking hang out and drink with a serial killer ever. That's just fucking disgusting, motherfuckers. And you couldn't fucking trust them.
Well, yeah, because you never know.
Right. But I could trust General Butt Naked. I'd have a drink with General Butt Naked. Fucking, I'd feel safe around him. I don't know if you would, but to me, that's just another fighter.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I probably would.
Yeah, he's all right. He seems to be all right. He's not crazy.
But he doesn't come across as a weird or a crazy person.
All that shit that he did was situational, and it was part of the culture and part of the landscape of the battle at that time. That's there's a lot of dudes that did fucking crazy shit in Vietnam, not only on the American side, but on the NVA side and the Kong side. They did all fucking kinds of horrible shit.
Well, yeah.
They went back to civilian life and lived normal lives afterwards. It was caught up in the spirit of the moment.
Which, to me,
yeah,
that's almost, I'm not saying serial killers aren't scary, but that's like scary in a special way. Because you don't know. Because like you said, some American soldiers, and they did know about this, and some like Viet Cong and stuff like that did some really horrible shit. Like they would wipe out like a whole village of like women and children and stuff like in a horrible way and torture them.
Arvin did that though. Republic of Vietnam did fucking bad shit.
Well, yeah, but like I said, that's what I'm saying. Everybody did bad shit. Everybody did. But the fact that they could then come back and like, okay, imagine you were the wife of somebody that did that. And then they came back home and you didn't know about it. And then they just totally went back to life like nothing happened. Like, that's really scary to me. You know what I'm saying?
There's a battlefield synergy of being there at a certain place and a time.
I get that.
And the psychological temperature of the fucking participants of the war at any given day could be very different. You know what I mean? Like your buddy got killed 15 minutes ago. You see some motherfucker that got captured and fucking that his friends did it, and you kill him. That's fucking straight up murder.
Yeah.
All right. But you forget about it if you let you cool off, you know what I mean? And people that don't worry about it.
Yeah, you didn't know that person. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that is fucking normal.
I know.
That is very
But
fucking
that's
normal.
what I said. That's scarier to me because it's just so.
All right, here's another thing. We're going to talk about war crimes and atrocities. The United States Army conducted all kinds of war crimes and atrocities right around Auschwitz. When they found the fucking camp of Auschwitz, for about 2 days, American soldiers murdered Germans in that area, German soldiers.
Yeah.
Because they saw Auschwitz. All right.
And they were mad.
They're mad. They were disgusted by it.
Well, as you
Now,
would be.
Should you try them for war crimes?
Yeah,
by the book, you're supposed to try them for war crimes.
Because they're going after people that maybe didn't have anything to do with it.
So people get all high and mighty about all this war crimes bullshit. These are men in uniform fighting and killing each other. There's no crimes, really. Okay? There's just war. War itself is a crime. Okay? And there's reprisals for shit. When they found Auschwitz, a lieutenant colonel was in charge of it. An American lieutenant colonel was in charge of it. And a general came in and was trying to fuck with what hell was going on. Basically was trying to get newspaper reporters and stuff into Auschwitz and was fucking with this lieutenant colonel and slapped one of the lieutenant colonel's privates in the back of the head for taking a swig out of a fucking bottle of fucking whiskey because they were looking at a damn concentration camp, all right? And that lieutenant colonel pulled a gun on that general and said, if you ever touch another one of my men, I'm going to blow your fucking head off. And they nearly killed each other. Fucking people were fucking pissed. You know what I mean? Evidently seeing a concentration camp was a mind-altering experience.
Well, I get that.
All right.
I get that. It's that, I don't, it's like
civilians cannot grasp.
Well, that's the thing. There's always extenuating circumstances. You always have to take those into account. Everything, shit isn't black and white. There's always something else behind it. That's why I'm interested in serial killers and crimes and stuff like that. You have to why did they do it? It's like, some people are just evil and fucked up, and yes, they should just be put down like a dog. I agree with that. But it's like you always have to look into the reasons behind why people did particular
There are all
things.
kinds of special circumstances, and what was going on in Liberia is extreme.
Yeah, that's an extreme circumstance. Like I said, it's not good. No one's saying that.
I don't see how anyone involved could have been totally sane after a certain period of time. I mean, after finding Auschwitz for about 2 days, American soldiers were murdering Germans. Yeah. These were war crimes. Some of these were German soldiers that were captured.
American soldiers. I can understand that. I'm not excusing it. I understand it.
High-ranking American soldiers almost murdering each other over this concentration camp. It actually took General Patton and his army to come in and fucking order everyone to shut the fuck up and to dissipate. And he dismissed all those charges.
Chill out.
All charges were dismissed for everything. And he said that, it was, Patton was like, it was temporary insanity. You know what I mean?
I get that. Because like I said, the human brain can only deal with so much.
Right.
And like I said, I'm not excused because like I said, if you or me or Pookie or somebody like that was like an innocent bystander and we just got killed because somebody was mad at somebody that looked like me or something like that. I mean, obviously, if somebody shot me just because I looked like somebody that made them mad, you would be upset. But I can understand why they do it. By the same token, I can understand why it happens. I'm not excusing it. I don't think it's good. I think everybody just needs to chill the fuck out and stop it. But it's like, the more that I read about this, it's like this case in particular and the documentary that we watched last night, which I told him after it was over, I was like, that made me feel so many feelings. I don't really know what I'm thinking right now. Because I was very conflicted about the whole situation. And reading about unsolved murders and serial killers and stuff. every now and then I'll just kind of like stop and think to myself, I'm like, would it really be so bad if like an asteroid just hit the Earth and like wiped us out? Because I just feel like let's start over. This is like really not. This is not a good situation.
I think part of the problem with what's going on is that people are not properly educated or instructed from early on exactly what a human is and what, you know what I mean? Humans are limited in what they can do. And they do fucked up shit sometimes.
They do. Everybody does.
It's kind of like part of the situation. And,
everybody
and
does.
how humans react to stressful situations. It doesn't. Now, some people are saying, well, how do you know what General Butt Naked was doing? It wasn't sexual for him. Maybe he was. It's not. I don't think it was. I don't think it was. When you look at me being an ex-professional soldier, I totally recognize what I'm seeing when I see the videos and when I'm hearing these stories. I know what they're talking about. Okay. These are not professional soldiers. They're in extreme situations. They're under a lot of stress. They're taking a lot of drugs. They're fighting and killing each other.
Well, and the kids that he recruited, a lot of them were orphans or, they didn't have any other prospects.
Yeah. And then they're out there like packs of fucking wild dogs fighting each other. And that's going to create a certain kind of fucking synergy. And only certain kinds of guys are going to survive that and rise to the top. I understand it. Do I like it? No, I don't like it. But I understand it. It's something like out of Mad Max.
Yeah.
Or it's like something out of prehistoric times. You're talking about fucking tribal fucking warfare. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's human nature, though. Human nature isn't all good. There's a pack mentality in humans. That's why they survive.
But yeah,
I don't know. Chimps do it, and we're animals like the other animals.
Yeah, we're kind of between chimps and bonobos.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too. It's like, I don't know. I kind of come at it from. I was talking to him last night and I was like, I know you kind of make fun of me for being like all Spock-like and shit, but I don't know. I'm one of those people that I always wish that like humans could just like be better and just like knock that shit off. You know what I mean? Because I feel like most people are good or at least indifferent. You know what I mean? Most people wouldn't go out of their way to hurt somebody. Most people wouldn't. They just wouldn't because they don't care enough to do that. So I do kind of feel like
environment has a lot to do with that.
That too.
Yeah.
I do feel like people that have, particularly in the West where, most people
we live a privileged environment.
Most people are very privileged. Not everybody, obviously, because there's a lot of poverty, particularly in the United States. But, in the Western world, most people compared to other parts of the world are very privileged. So it's very easy to live a life where you don't come into contact with these situations that, would cause you to, get into these kind of life or death kind of decisions. So I get that. I get that it's like a different.
The closest thing to this situation that we have here would be, say, like prisons and pirates. Okay.
Right.
What was going on the ground in Liberia would be very similar to like what you would have in a prison. All right. And also very similar to the synergy going on with professional pirates.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? In the 1700s, pirates were very organized, but those motherfuckers were from prison, a lot of them. And, or from navies, and navies at those times were basically prisons too. And the pirates were they were described as the enemies of all mankind.
Yeah.
I mean, Blackbeard gave his fucking wife to the crew because they shared everything. That's some weird shit that they did. You know what I mean?
That is pretty weird.
Well, she insulted him over his socks, and she was the fucking daughter.
Maybe they were really ugly socks. Okay.
I don't remember exactly what it was. She kept making fun of him because he wouldn't fucking change his socks or something. And she was the daughter of the fucking governor of Puerto Rico, if I remember correctly. And she was like a high society woman. He was sick of all her highfalutin ways, so he gave her over to the crew to fucking have sex with. And then she's not mentioned again. And then he goes back out to sea. They
probably gang raped her.
They did. They were the enemies of fucking mankind. She she tried to civilize him, and she was showing him off to high society because he was a famous pirate. And he was like, bitch, I'm a fucking pirate. What are you talking about?
What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't mean to victim blame. It's just that.
I don't know what she was thinking.
Well, it's just
kept fucking with him about
it's just
stuff.
Like there's it's a very small percentage of women, okay? Because most women, they see some dude like that and they're just like, yeah, no, thank you. And they run the other direction. But there is like a very small percentage of women. These are the same types of women that wrote to Ted Bundy in prison.
Yeah.
It's like that. I kind of get it in the way that I don't get it because I wouldn't do it because it's fucked up. But I think what they're trying to do is they want to be the person that is like, this person has killed multiple people. They are a terrible person. I'm going to be the one that's special enough to change them. I think that's, at the end of the day, I think that's what it is. I think they want to, it's kind of like, they just want to be this very special person that I'm the only person that they're nice to. I'm the only person that can, like you said, civilize them. Yeah. I think that's where they're coming from. You can't do that, obviously, and please don't try. But I think that's where the psychology is. I don't think it's that weird. Mm-hmm. It is weird, but it's not that weird. Like I can understand where, even though I would never do that, I understand like where the psychology is.
Ryan's in the chat saying, "Tom, I want your shirt." I came up with this design. Jenny made the design, and then I produced it. If you want one of these shirts, just fucking send me $20 in the super chat. And if you're in the continental United States, I'll send you one out. And send us a private message. Yeah, because
we have a screen for that.
I got a screen. I can make a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I'll make it in your size. And send me your address on Facebook or where do you want to do it? Facebook or you want to do it?
Facebook or email
or email, and I'll send it to you. You'll have it in a couple of days.
Yeah. Okay. Like depending on, because I have a lot of extra shirts.
But only continental United States. I can't do it for 20 outside continental United States because
the shipping is. Right. I mean, shipping stuff to the UK is usually about $25.
Yeah.
Or between 15 and 25. That's usually because I think Ireland is a little bit cheaper. That was 15. But yeah, so all right, so General Butt Naked, he kind of like went around on this thing until about 1996. Civil War in Liberia ends. And then because he claimed he'd seen Jesus, apparently he went to his, I guess he had like a higher up commander. So he went there, he gave them his gun and his machete or whatever and said, I'm done fighting. Like Jesus is my commander now, or God is my commander now, or something. He told them, and he gave up all his stuff. Now there was another church in Liberia where there was another bishop there, and I guess he had been going there off and on, and that was another factor in his like big conversion. So he supposedly said that he fasted for 54 days, and after he had seen Jesus and everything. So now it's like this big narrative where if someone as evil as me can be redeemed, and if Jesus still says that I'm, redeemable and God still calls me his son and everything, then he can fix you too. So that's kind of that's where he's coming from with his sermons nowadays, is that if God can forgive someone as horrible as me, then he should have no problem forgiving you also. Which, like I said, that is a very common thing in evangelical circles, because you know how there's a big, it's almost like a cliche at this point, but I feel like in evangelical circles, if you tell them that you used to be a Satanist and that you used to sacrifice dogs and cats or children or whatever, or babies or whatever, and then you found the Lord and blah, 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 they will buy that shit and put you around on the fucking circuit.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I think DJ did you send Maniac? Did you send me some money or something? I think he's asking for a shirt.
Yeah,
I think he
might have. I'll have to look like back in the past.
If you sent me some money, then just send us your address. I'll send you a shirt.
Yeah, and like what size you want.
Right.
It might take a couple weeks because if we don't have that size, I have to order a blank.
I take it you want a Pliskin shirt. I got 3 other ones. I got one with a 13 o'clock one, which is really cool, a new one. And I got a Wayland Industries one and a Wayland Yutani. shirt
Yeah, we
from
got
Alien.
two,
I got, and
yeah.
it has 13 o'clock on the back. So I got those, but yeah, but the new shirts are fucking awesome. The new shirts, they're the best shirts we've ever had. The
Yeah,
designs
they
are fucking
did
great.
actually come out really good, I thought. And I ordered like a whole bunch of
But
shirts.
my Pliskin shirt idea, man, that's my favorite one so far. Fucking, I like this one. This is what I originally wanted. This bitch here is fucking bootleg as a motherfucker because that's the Ford Cobra.
It is
logo. That's what I wanted.
We'll show them the back too, because it has like a little 13 o'clock logo on the back.
See?
Yeah.
Can they see it?
Yeah, I think. Well, like I said, there's a lag, so
yeah.
I can't believe this whole thing is lagging. Like it's lagging like 2 seconds behind, so it's like throwing me off.
Couldn't do anything online with the Ford Cobra fucking logo because that's a copyright violation. But you see, I can bootleg them. I'm making them by hand.
Yeah, we just make them,
and I don't sell them.
Make them
it's just that if you donate $20, I can fucking send you.
It's a workaround.
If you donate $20, I get it.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure he has. I'll go back and like look at the super chats. But yeah,
okay.
But like I said, give me your address and what size you want and stuff, and we'll make you one because I got to do another mail out anyway.
Patrons are all getting a new 13 o'clock one.
Yeah.
Do we have one printed up? I can show them. Here.
There's one back there, like hanging on the chair.
Yeah.
That was one that we kind of messed up.
Now, a couple of the heavy hitters, people that gave us a lot of money over time, they're getting a Pliskin shirt also. Some people got 2.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Put it in the thing. Yeah. Down a little bit. Down a little bit.
The lag is so bad.
I know. Like it's really bothering me.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. I really like how that came out, actually. We made some for ourselves as well. But yeah, that's the one we sent out. You still have the hat?
Yeah. I got my Vietnam tiger stripe on.
You look, I was going to say, you look
got
like
my tiger stripe on.
You look like you need to be in, like fighting the predator.
Yep.
So, all right. So when the Civil Wars came to an end, like I said, in the mid to late 1990s, because General Butt Naked had been a commander for the losing side in the war, he ended up having to flee to Ghana, and he lived in a refugee camp there for a while. And this was where he kind of, had his big conversion officially or whatever. He did say that he goes around like talking to victims of, his atrocities and relatives of his atrocities, and says he feels really bad about it. At various times, he has said that he was possessed by satanic powers at the time, because, like I said, he thought that the deity that he was sacrificing to, he later identified it with the devil. So that's another thing that bothers me, because it does feel like he's trying to dodge responsibility a little bit in the way that he's saying, well, the devil made me do it, essentially.
I don't think that's what he means. I think what he means is that he was, of course, overcome with fucking negative emotions and hatred. It feels like you're possessed by the devil. You're pissed off and fucking, you know what I mean? Bloodlust and stuff. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But he's gonna rationalize that and turn that into a mythology. You know what I mean? It's like being possessed by the devil. I've noticed that what he says is not literal. Everything is figurative. And he speaks mythologically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? You're not talking about a Western scientific fucking analytical mind. That's not what's going on. This is all emotion. It's all emotion. It's magic.
Yeah.
Magical thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly what
it is. He's not on Spock level. He's on Kirk level.
Yeah. As we've mentioned before, that's the dynamic here as well. Yeah. He makes fun of me for being Spock, which is very funny that you came up with that, because my ex-husband used to call me Spock as well.
Yeah.
Isn't that very funny?
You're trying to find objective truth. There's no objectivity in what he's talking about. Everything is subjective. It's all subjective stuff, you know.
But the thing about it is that I think that, and we were talking about this a little bit last night, I was like, I think you think that because I'm Spock-like that I don't understand that. I do. Like, I do. I just don't feel the same way as that. So I don't like relate, but I understand it.
You haven't been out there fighting.
But I understand it though.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, understanding and fucking going
well,
through
because
it. It's
I mean, I can
fucking,
imagine what it would be like. I can imagine putting myself in someone else's shoes, putting myself in someone else's situation. How would I react in that situation? How would I feel in that situation? So I get that.
Imagine there's some dudes that evil motherfuckers trying to kill you. All right. And you say, man, I got to become a badass in order to survive this.
Yeah, I get that.
So then you just become a fucking badass. And then you start winning. And you like it. You say, I killed those motherfuckers who were trying to kill me. And he goes, where are the next ones? You know, and then more of them are coming. Because the more enemies you kill, the more enemies rise up against you. So your problems start to multiply. Well, you're now in the game. Okay. So you start to become more and more of a badass to overcome this wave, this human wave of fucking enemies. And the more of them that you knock down, the more fierce you become. And then you start having problems differentiating between friend and enemy. Well,
yeah,
they're in that direction, so they're all enemy. You know, he didn't help me, so he's an enemy.
So I'm just gonna stop.
I'm gonna kill all you bitches if you're not.
Everybody
you're either with me or against me. If you're not in my unit, you're not one of my commandos. Then you're the fucking enemy. That's eventually what it kind of turns into.
Yeah, I know.
You weak ass motherfuckers aren't helping us. Die, bitch. Fucking. That's what it is.
That's what I mean.
Worthless fuckers.
I get
that's what they're doing.
Like I would never do that because I'm not like that.
You're not in that
situation. But I get it.
Then they start they start living in hatred. You know, they start to hate and despise weakness.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for survival and you weak motherfuckers can't help me. Die. You know.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing. They become,
like I said,
they become that motherfucker right back there. They become that motherfucker right back there. That's what happens.
I would probably be like that if it wasn't so much work. I'm too lazy to be a mass murderer.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a moral compass too. I'm just saying. But
all that shit fucking goes away when they're trying to kill you.
But like I said, I get that. Yeah. I get that. Like I said, I can't put myself in other people's shoes. I can't put myself in other people's situation and think of how I would react in that situation. So I get it. So it's like not alien or anything like that.
Pray this synergy does not start to grow here in the United States. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to go down on one of my fucking tirades.
Yeah, don't go on one of your tirades.
The soil.
You'll be all right.
The soil is fertile for it. Okay, go ahead.
Somebody says they missed the itty bitty Kenny intermission. Yeah, because I'm not editing these anymore, so I don't like have videos to put her. Although we did make I took some pictures of her like playing with the box that Nancy sent.
Yeah,
like trying to getting in the sleeping bag and stuff. So maybe I'll put
somebody
those
wants
in
a
there
Kirk
later.
level shirt, please. Okay.
Are you Spock level or Kirk level?
Yeah. This is Ryan Schwartz talking about this, requesting more shirts. Ryan, you haven't paid me for the first shirt. Give me his address. Like where to send them. You haven't paid me, Ryan. You want a shirt, man? You got to fucking send me $20, bro. And then send me your true address.
Well, like I said, I need addresses and sizes also.
Yeah, not in the chat section. Send it later on fucking on Facebook.
You should do the kitty intermission again, but include our baby Pooks. Yeah, where did she go? She was in here for a little while because I heard her like fucking around back there trying to get in the box again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so later on, Joshua, aka General Butt Naked, starts the End Time Train Evangelistic Ministries, etc. Incorporated. End Time Train Evangelistic Ministries.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, they think it's end times.
Yeah. So well, that's what I mean. So their line of thinking is very much in line with some kind of fringe Christian, fundamentalist Christian groups, evangelical Christian groups in the United States that think that we're in the end times. And like I said, they love a repentant sinner narrative. They love that shit so much.
Yeah, but we've got to point some shit out. All right. I have a Christian background. You know what I mean? I don't have anything against the Christians. I'm a mythicist, actually. I'm a Christ mythicist, which I can get into the story. The difference between an American church and an African church is very large. Okay, they're not talking about the same things all the time. In Africa, I would think it's a lot closer to end times. You know what I mean? what's going on than would be here.
Seem like that,
From their point of view, those apocalyptic images would probably seem a lot more real. I can understand them believing that a lot more than somebody here in the US.
Americans, yeah.
Although some people say, this is the rise of the Antichrist and this and that, but we went through Revelations. That has been Revelation has a lot of great imagery in it. I fucking love Revelations. That
you can
prophecy
get some good artwork and rock music.
Yeah, it'd make an awesome movie.
Somebody needs to make that.
I know,
Darren Aronofsky, get on that.
Exactly, because Noah was fucking really good. That prophecy was about Rome. It's not about us. And yeah, you could say, well, it sounds a lot like this and yeah, but you can do that about a lot of prophecy, and it's not about us. A lot of the things that are talked about in that prophecy are almost kind of universals. But then some of it specifically talks about Rome and the Roman city.
Yeah.
And they're not talking about modern times. They're talking about the end of the Roman Empire and the beginning of the fucking Christian
Here's the thing. Here's what I always think of.
And it is it's false. It didn't happen. The Battle of Megiddo did not happen.
Yeah.
Because it didn't have to. And Rome didn't really fall, all right, in the way that it's described there. Rome became the first Christian civilization. So you could say the prophecy was not true.
Yeah.
Jesus didn't come back and destroy Rome. Rome became Christian. It's a big difference.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is that when you look back at history, for example, we use the phrase the fall of Rome, but it sounds like it was like an immediate.
No, it took 200 years.
It's just kind of like when people talk about the death of the dinosaurs, for example, to take an evolutionary example. I mean, that took a while. It wasn't immediate.
Yeah.
It was just like some bad shit hit the earth. It was like some climate shit. It's like, it took a while for that shit to happen.
Rome didn't.
It's just we're not good at extrapolating because we're so used to our lifespans are so short.
Yeah.
That we're so used to everything happening like
Rome didn't really fall. Rome split into two, an Eastern and a Western Empire. The Western Empire declined and morphed into fucking the medieval era, and the Eastern Empire ended up becoming Byzantium. All right. When that lived for a long time, almost until World War I, actually, you could say that it was it became the Ottoman Empire, in some ways. It was not a single cataclysmic event as described in Revelation. It didn't happen. That's
what I mean. It's just like, in a way, it wasn't even a fall in the sense. It's just like an evolution of, I mean, it just went into something else. It wasn't like some big, huge fucking disaster.
I'm going to say it was a decline.
Right.
All right. A lot of that great artwork and science fucking evaporated over time. And the statues became shit. I mean, a true Greco-Roman statue looked like a fucking photograph. That's how good it was. And that was lost for 1,500 years. Think of that.
Yeah.
1,500 years they couldn't reproduce that.
That's what I mean. That's a long fucking time.
You can see an expensive statue of a Roman emperor, and you can feel that motherfucker's soul coming out of it. It was like a photograph, like a hologram. That's how good they were. I could get a feeling of who those dudes were.
Yeah.
Even though it was probably, propaganda. You know what I mean? Fucking.
Well, everybody, they're not going to
they're not gonna do it
for
in a
shit that
pose.
makes them look like they really look, are they?
Some of that stuff.
Everybody wants to look pretty.
Yeah. But some of those guys fucking, and I always got this feeling of like a motherfucker who was almost kind of like the Sith. It was like a master of good and evil. You know what I mean? Like a dude who could use the stick and the carrot on you. He wasn't quite good. He was like a mixture of good and evil, I kind of respected the Romans.
Which I guess most people are.
They were like glorified gangsters, but fucking real fucking intellectual, using Latin like a fucking weapon. Weaponized Latin on you. You read that writing, you're like, fuck, those dudes were smart, man.
Well, some of the shit from back then, if you read like an English translation of it, it almost sounds like something that was
like today
now.
But a smart motherfucker from today, like you know what I mean,
That's what I mean. That's what kills me about people that have this weird conception that like ancient people were dumb. I'm like,
At least not over there.
Not at all.
The
Not
elites
at
were
all.
fucking super smart and crafty.
Well, like I said, some of the shit, if you read an English translation, some of it you wouldn't know that was written thousands of years ago.
Star Trek, the original series, they had a damn episode where they go to another planet that's a lot like Rome, and a starship captain ends up being enslaved by their emperor. And he tells Kirk, he says, James, they're better than us. And that's exactly what they were talking about. Dude was using all those weaselly ways to get people to kill each other.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any moral boundaries. Everything was just about full spectrum. You know what I mean? Full spectrum behavior. They were like gangsters. No, you guys might remember that episode. That's some weird. I love that episode. The old Star Trek was very educational.
I still love the original.
The original series is very educational.
The other ones are good too, but
yeah.
I really liked the writing on the old one.
If you guys like the original series, man, go see Star Trek Continues, free on fucking YouTube. They had the fucking part 2 of fucking the mirror episode with the evil Spock with the fucking beard, man. That fucking episode is badass.
Evil Spock was so sexy.
Evil Spock, yeah.
Can we mention that Grant Imahara
died? He's in that. He's in Star Trek Continues.
I can't fucking believe that. He was so young.
Yeah. Well, that happens.
That's messed up.
All right. I gotta get back to
Somebody asked, do we still have Beijing? Yes, we do.
Yes.
She just never wants to be on the show. How old is she now? 10? 10 or 11? She's a princess.
Yeah.
And she is very aloof. She very rarely comes in here when we're doing anything.
Yeah, she doesn't fuck around.
She mostly just wants to do her own thing. Pookie is very different. Pookie is very wants to get involved in everything all the time, but Beijing is not like that at all. She's just like, fuck you people. I'm going over here. I'm going to go be fabulous on my little scratchy chair that she lays on. She just lays there looking like the queen. Also, somebody asked earlier, have we seen Ghost Killers versus Bloody Mary? Yes, we did. And we actually posted a review of it.
Great movie.
Days ago.
Great movie.
I liked it very much. It was very
good Brazilian flick.
Yeah.
Best Brazilian movie I've seen. And I speak and understand. Well, I understand Portuguese fluently. I don't speak it as well as I used to because I don't use it as much anymore. And I have the functional vocabulary of a 16-year-old because that's how old I was when I left Brazil. But the fucking Portuguese dialogue is fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. And the subtitles are accurate. That's what they're saying.
That was a funny ass movie.
It's a good movie.
I mean, if you're into, it's very crass and it's very gross and it's very if you're into Evil Dead,
it's very Brazilian,
or Dead Alive or something like that, then it would probably be right up your alley. I mean, because it's a horror comedy that's super. I mean, there's poop, there's puke, there's gore, it's disgusting, but it's super fun. Yeah, but we did a review of it.
Not PC at all. It is fucking Brazilian. You'll see. It's good. It's fucking funny. Brazilian humor is a punch to the fucking face. All right. It's kind of like very old school American humor. Everything is fair game. And this movie fucking didn't pull any punches. It's good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was a blast.
Yeah.
But so he started this church. Like I said, he's got a wife, he's got 4 kids, and they went into this a little bit in the documentary, which they made in 2011. When he kind of took off for Ghana, because I guess he was afraid that he was going to get in trouble or he was going to, be brought before a tribunal or whatever. So he runs off to Ghana for a little while. Everyone kind of got pissed at him, including his family and all of the, now grown child soldiers that had been underneath him that he had been helping out. They kind of felt like he abandoned them for a time because he was in Ghana for a while. It was for several years. He was kind of hiding out over there, in a refugee camp. So
I can kind of understand it though. They went back on their word.
True.
You know what I mean? They said that he was good to go and that they weren't going to mess with him. But changing political scenes, they went back on their agreement with him. So I wouldn't trust any of those governments down there either. I mean, would you? I wouldn't.
Well,
just,
I don't trust anybody for
Yeah.
anything
No.
for any reason.
every few years, that's a different regime in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you never know what's going to
and-
happen. It's just constantly.
Right. And they're all enemies of each other. So,
Yeah.
you know.
But he does apparently, like I said, he is, even though there is some controversy over whether he's using the funds for what they were intended to or not, but he does have an NGO called Journeys Against Violence, and he uses it to train his ex-child soldiers and other kids that grew up in the street that were like just drug addicts or whatever, and they don't have any prospects. So he does seem to be trying to give them drug training. He was at one point with funding from some American evangelical Christians. They were trying to build a center with like a computer center. They were going to do like in job training type programs. He gave them, the thing about it though, is that he paid for them to all take driving tests and like get their driver's license, but none of them had the money to get cars. So they couldn't really use the driver's licenses at that point. So like I said, there's kind of this whole controversy over whether, because I think the last thing I read was that his kind of supporters over here were giving him between like $800 and $1,200 a month.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Which because
there.
like for average, like people that work over there get like $38 a month, like equivalent. So it's a lot of money. So he's getting a lot of that, and it seems like he's taking half, but then he's taking like maybe more than that, like for himself, and not using it for what it's intended for. But I don't know if that's true or not. Like, because he does seem to be opening up some types of things where he's trying to make some kind of restitution about like the people that he pressed into service. Like,
there's a lot of corruption down there too. So it could be
right, exactly.
Could be to do anything, you have to grease a lot of palms, and
that could be the case, sure.
And you probably also have to pay to grease palms to keep your ass from fucking getting killed or put into prison too. So a lot of that money is probably being used to grease palms to get shit to happen. Corrupt as shit. Real corrupt.
It's weird though, because like, even in the documentary, and I don't know about nowadays because the documentary came out 9 years ago, but when they showed him just like walking around in Liberia, I mean, everybody knew who he was because he's very famous. A lot of people would just like come up and like hug him or be like, "Hey, General," or whatever. So,
well, depending on what side of war you were on, he was either a hero or a villain. So,
right.
One man's hero is another man's villain.
Yeah.
So, some people liked it.
Yeah, so he doesn't really seem to be getting a lot of pushback. I mean, it does seem like they did show him going and visiting, like he visited the one guy that they called the Senegalese, who General Butt Naked had shot his legs off.
Yeah.
And that guy, he seemed like initially reluctant to like want to talk to him, and he was really kind of like, man, fuck this shit or whatever. But then like finally he was like, okay, I forgive you. And that guy died later, right?
I think he did.
He did die. I think he died of tuberculosis. And Joshua did seem like upset about that. And he did go to that woman's house, and like, he had killed her husband, and she later kind of went, but she seemed a little conflicted about it too. Like, she went in front of the congregation and he was like, yeah, I killed her husband and here she is and blah, blah, blah. She said later, she's like, I didn't really, like, when he called me up there, I didn't really want to go, but I kind of had to. So she was like conflicted about it too. So like I said, that's why this documentary like gave me a lot of feelings, because it's a really good
documentary.
It's a really good documentary.
You can get it on YouTube or on
I think it's like
Xbox.
$3.99.
It's like $3.99.
I think
it's worth watching. It's a trip.
It's really good. It goes more into, it doesn't go, it talks about his atrocities and stuff, but it goes more into
him trying to make amends.
And like his evangelical kind of stuff, like the later shit that happened. Yeah, it goes more into that.
It's weird because he'll approach these people where he murdered their whole family. And you can see like, man, they're fucking super uncomfortable around this guy.
Yeah, like you can see it in their faces.
He starts talking to them and shit. You know what I mean? It's weird. And then the next thing you know, they're walking, holding hands and shit, and going to church with him. It's fucking bizarre.
Because that's what I was thinking. Like, I was thinking that whole last 20 minutes of the documentary.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, like, putting myself into this woman's shoes. I'm like, how would I feel if this had happened to me? Like, what if some dude, like a warlord or whatever, like maybe I lived in some fucked up situation or whatever, and came in and killed you and killed Pookie and killed all stuff. And then, like, 20 years later,
he comes back and goes,
comes back and says, I'm sorry about it.
Yeah.
See, I don't think I would. I don't think I just wouldn't. Maybe I'm a terrible person. I don't know. I'm not a real forgiving person, is one thing. You know what I mean? I'm not a Christian. I don't do that whole, like, turn the other cheek kind of shit. I'm like, I feel like if you did some fucked up shit, you need to own that. And I don't have to forgive you, and I'm not going to. And I know that you want me to forgive you, so I'm not going to, just to spite you, because I'm an asshole.
Well, he says that.
Yeah.
He says, you shouldn't forgive me. If you don't forgive me, I understand it. Yeah, he knows.
And probably I wouldn't. And I for real would not go up, because, like I said, I don't play with that whole evangelical shit. Yeah. So I for real would not go in front of someone else's congregation and try to, like, get. It's
my opinion that the whole Christian angle is actually just part of it. I think that's more of the PR angle. I think he does want to put all that behind him, and I think he wants to fucking take that load off of him. You know what I mean? And I think he does want to try to smooth things over. I think if he could reverse it, he would.
I mean, it's kind of like what they tell you to do.
There's nothing he can do.
Like in Alcoholics Anonymous, where they tell that's one of the 12 steps is that you're supposed to go, like, make amends to, like, all the people you fucked over.
I mean, how the fuck are you going to do that?
You can't undo it.
You can't undo that.
Like, I get that.
And he says that. You know what I mean?
He knows that he can't undo it.
But if he could undo it, he would. I can tell he would. I think it was kind of like a temporary insanity. Wartime temporary insanity.
That's the thing, though. It's like, I get that. I understand that. I do. Yeah. But it doesn't make it better. Like, it doesn't make it better. Because, like I said, if it happened to me, I'm like, that's still my family. That's still my kids.
It's just one of the things. It's just one of the things that, you know, you got to put it down. It's in the past. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Kill him?
And that's the thing. That's why this documentary made me feel so many feelings. Because, like, would I feel better if I got to cut off his head and like put it on a stick?
Probably wouldn't. Maybe you would.
I don't know. I think I might.
Maybe you would.
I'm a terrible person.
But the thing is, though, is that the same dude? I'm not sure that's even the same dude. Because I think he's changed a lot. It was 20 years ago.
See, this gave me, like, so many moral quandaries. Yeah. This fucking.
It's not quite the same dude.
I mean,
he was a lot younger when that shit happened.
That's the thing. It's like, I like to think that I'm a good person, right? But if somebody did some really fucked up shit to me, and they, like, for real, it came to me and I thought they were really being contrite and they were really sorry for what they did, I still think that, no, I think I still want to cut your head off.
I think that General Butt Naked is gone. I think that was a temporary thing.
Maybe.
And
I don't know. I don't know if I can 100% get on board with it.
I think General Butt Naked was kind of like a wartime LARPing personality that went away and died with the war. That's what I think happened. I don't think that was sustainable mental fucking. I don't think that was a sustainable mental state. Yeah, he had that moment of clarity, and then he just like, oh, it's like me. I think that's what happened.
And then, like you said, the circumstances that surrounded.
And then the circumstances changed.
But the thing about it, though, is that, yeah, there's that. That's an extenuating circumstance. But there's also the fact that once you've done something, you can't undo it.
Yep.
And all of those people that he killed had families.
Yep.
That are now, I mean, that person's dead forever. They're never coming back. So it's like, you can't fix that.
Nope.
You can't fix it.
And here's the deal. You killed General Butt Naked, but what about all the other ones that are still out there running around? And then all the other fucking soldiers that were underneath them that were doing the same shit. There's thousands of them.
That's what I mean. It's such a fucked up situation.
So,
and it's like, and I don't know
them all down. You know what I mean?
And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, is it better? Because they talk to a lot of people that, you know, live there in, you know, in the capital and whatever. And they were like, they didn't really see any value in executing these people because they're like, look, everybody just wants to put the shit behind that and move forward. And it's like doing that is just going to put us back in that mindset
even though innocent people were being killed, women and children, all right? A lot of shit was reprisals for shit that the other sides did too. You know what I mean? So it was wartime. They were all killing each other.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, hatred just kind of took over.
That's what I mean. It's just this.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't want to say everybody got what they deserved. It's just that peace came out of that eventually. So probably best thing to do is just kind of let it all try to be forgotten as much as possible and let those generations die off. That's probably the safest thing to do. If you go out and try to hunt down all those dudes, the wars will just break out again.
Yeah, because then. Yeah, like I said, from a larger, coming at it from a larger like societal standpoint, it's like you probably, yes, everybody wants justice, everybody wants, retribution for what happened. I get that, but it's like, is that really going to be fruitful moving forward? Because I do feel like everybody just wants to put that behind, not forget about it, but put it behind them and like move on to something better.
And this is all happening in a society that has no rule of law.
Yeah.
Liberia at that time was fucking without any kind of rule of law. There was no government. It was fucking Mad Max.
It's just kind of like, it's interesting because I hadn't really thought a lot about this guy previously.
Another thing is, you know what else was noticed? I forgot to tell you, but they had no rule of law back then and no investigative fucking ability. One guy who was a fucking war criminal said, how are you going to convict me? There's no evidence. All that shit's gone.
Yeah.
They had no evidence and there was even though he said he did it.
Well, yeah, remember, he's very openly admitted.
That wasn't one of the other warlords. It's like, how can you convict me? All the evidence is gone. He goes like, any fair trial, you need evidence and all these fucking witness testimony and you have to be able to prove it. And he says, that was 20 years ago. All that shit's gone. There was no government then. So you'd be convicting people based on unreliable witness testimony.
Which
is fucking.
That's what I mean. This is like
chaos.
This brought up so many like moral conundrums for me because I was just kind of like, I don't know, like how do I feel about this? Because what he did was so messed up, and what other people did in that situation was messed up. Should he be punished for it? Probably. I don't think people should get away with that kind of shit. But at this point, if we don't think he's going to do it again, like I said, it's not like a serial killer situation where you think, yeah, we have to like lock them away or like put them down like a dog because they're not going to change. Because I think that's a different situation. If you don't think he's going to do this shit again, is it really productive, like you said, to make an example of him? Maybe, as much as people might want to. I will say though that I do admire people that can forgive someone like that did something to them directly. Even because shit, man, I've seen people that, their daughters or their wives or something like that were killed by serial killers even. And they even stood up at the fucking trial and said that they forgave the person. And I'm like, well, you're clearly a better person than I am because I would never, ever do that in a million fucking years, ever. So I do kind of feel like, I'm not going to let it like bog down my whole life. I'm not, I would move on with my life and like live a normal life, but I would never forgive that person. Why would I?
I'm reading the fucking,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm reading all the fucking comment sections. They were like, well, what is he actually accused of? And what kind of war crime? Fucking Law and Order fucking broke down. All right. The president of Liberia was fucking tortured to death on live television.
Yep.
Warlords started to fucking break out fighting each other all over the fucking country.
They would just basically go through towns and just shoot or machete everybody, like innocent people.
The fucking
little kids, women, everybody.
It was widespread mass murder on all fucking sides. It was like
sacrifice,
human sacrifice,
cannibalism,
tribal warfare,
sure,
cannibalism, everything. This was not a fucking normal situation for a civilization to go through. It was just a breakdown of fucking all. It was Mad Max. All right. There wasn't any law at that time.
Yeah.
That's what happened. All right. A lot of people were involved in it. Too many people were involved in it to kind of really be brought to justice. And all the evidence is long gone. Pretty much everybody was kind of involved in it to some degree or another, unless you were maybe like women and children or old men.
Well, that's kind of one of the arguments that they were making. Is
it was
that,
widespread.
I mean, if we made an example of him, it's like we'd have to make an example of,
of thousands and thousands of them.
Thousands of other people.
And fighting would start break out because really there wasn't any legitimate law. Who's going to fucking hold these trials? Your enemies? People that hate you? There was no neutral parties. Yeah. All right. So that's what happened. And then other guys are saying, well, if he really regretted it, he wouldn't be able to cope. No. That's not the way things actually work. A lot of what he did was actually on par with what other people were doing. Those guys never came forward or said anything. They just went into hiding. There's lots of them. General Butt Naked was really the only one that went before them, said, "Yeah, I'm guilty,"
and admitted that he did all that shit.
He didn't have
I said, I respect that he actually had the balls to do that.
Yeah, he actually took credit for killing more people than he actually did. So, I think he did have a change of heart. But you can't really reverse what happened. Yeah. And giving the guy a fair trial would be damn near impossible. Who would, they were all guilty, a lot of them, and
you have a thing too, where, I mean, he's become at this point, because it was, I mean, the Liberian Civil War was so long ago. I mean, it ended in the mid-90s, that you're going to get two opposing factions. You're going to get people that will just hate him no matter what. Right. And people who see him as like you said, like a folk hero.
Everything's polarized.
Right. And like I said, and some of those people have...
There's no impartiality there.
I mean, some of those people have reason to think of him in that way because, maybe they fought for him when they were a child and then he helped them out later on. Like he taught me to drive. He got me a job. He, gave me a place to live when I didn't have one. It's like some of the kids that were under his care were living... There was this set of twins that were in his army when they were kids. Yeah. They were living in they slept in a graveyard that they had dug out. They were orphans. They didn't have anywhere to go. And he actually gave them a place to live. He gave them a bed and shit like that. So it's kind of like, those people are always going to be, and you could see it like in the documentary that he had like a core group of people around him that had fought for him and, back in the day when they were kids. And obviously they knew that was bad and they shouldn't do that anymore. But they idolized him. He was their father figure. A lot of them were orphans or were street kids. And they were like, well, he got us off drugs and he got us, he made us useful. He gave us a job. He did shit for us.
We're not saying he's a good man. He never says that. He never said that. He said he was a mixture of good and evil. And the guys who served under him now says he was mostly evil back in the war. And now he's about 75% good, 25% evil. That's what they said.
Yeah, that's what that one guy said.
He said, but everybody's a mixture. Now, he's not the only one. He's not like the Hitler of fucking Liberia. They were all like this. All right. Though he's the only one that actually fucking came forward and said, I'm guilty. I killed a whole bunch of fucking people in the Civil War, blah, blah, blah. I killed 20,000, which he lied. He didn't kill that many. I think he thinks he's responsible for that. All the other ones fucking hightailed it. They're fucking hiding.
And one thing I will give him,
they don't say shit.
He did say that he was willing to go before the Hague if they wanted him to, and would.
He was willing to pay for it and shit.
He was willing to.
And because of that, because he was the only one that actually kind of came forward to the war crime tribunal, they said, well, we're not looking for you. Good. They told him to go because he was just one of many that were like that.
Well, and like I said, in a situation like that, if it's going to be on a where everyone sucks, I mean, the people that suck less by coming forward and saying, yeah, I did that bad shit and I feel really bad, I'm not going to do it again. It's like those are going to be marginally better than the people that are like, they either don't think they did anything wrong or they're like, well, I'm just going to avoid any repercussions for what I did. I mean, obviously that's worse.
And a lot of people who come from very stable countries, Western countries, they see law as morality, which that's not what it is. Law comes from a legal framework. You have to be able to prove things. You have to, there's things called jurisdiction. There's all these little fucking details that has to happen in order to get a damn conviction. If not, then it's not law. It's just morality. And morality is not law. He did all this in a time of lawlessness, where there was no law. There was no functioning Liberian state. The president of Liberia was tortured to death on live television.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine you lived in a country where that was happening. And then you're going to convict some dude?
And people complain about living
People
here.
living about, what the fuck are you talking about? There was no legal framework in which to get any kind of conviction. It was Mad Max.
Well, and like I said, they had the tribunal, which, like I
Right.
said, if you watch the documentary, you can see it, but they didn't have any power to do anything. All they could do was make a list and be like, well, we suggest that these people be given amnesty. We suggest that these people be tried for war crimes, but no one did anything about it. It was just like a list that they made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it was good that they did that it was acknowledged, that everybody in the country saw it, but no action really came out of it.
Right. And you're going to get a situation where, well, we're going to try this dude. Well, under what law? Well, under the law that we have now. Does the law that you have now retroactive, does it have jurisdiction over the time in which before it existed? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It'd be like, because the legal system wasn't in existence at that time. There's a bunch of little law is very technical, and I'm too drunk to explain it.
Obviously.
You can do things in the high seas that are fucking totally immoral, all right, and would be highly illegal here in the United States. But because you're in international waters, you're not in an American jurisdiction. Somebody else has to handle that.
Well, that's exactly why some people go out on
go in the high seas, go do that shit.
Because they know that no one's gonna.
Right.
They're like, what? It's a technicality.
Right.
You can't.
You could take a motherfucker to Mars and cut his head off and not break any laws. That's not under anybody's jurisdiction.
Yeah, Martians don't have any laws.
Yeah, there's no law on Mars. Okay, so when they fucking bring you back here to the United States and they say, we're going to fucking try you for murder for cutting that motherfucker's head off, your fucking lawyer goes, I object, you can't. He's not within your jurisdiction. So the grand jury can never get the indictment.
Yeah.
And they say, well, under whose? And
that's the thing. It's like, that's what's so kind of frustrating. It's like, there's nothing we can do about it because humans are humans. We're imperfect.
Hold on. I'm going to take a break.
Okay. Why don't you give me another drink while you're out there? Make me another drink while you're out there. I mean, like, not while you're in the bathroom, but But that's like, this is one thing that like frustrates me a lot about law in general, is that it has to be, because humans are imperfect. You have to, and everyone's different. So they have to construct it in a way that it's kind of like best for everybody, but best for nobody at the same time, because it's like, it has to be, ideally it has to be like impartial. It has to be, it's not in practice, but in, theory, it's supposed to be, so I don't know. It really like bothers me. And I feel like reading about this case really like brought up a bunch of moral conundrums that I do think about a lot, but I guess I hadn't really like, it hadn't all like coalesced until I was like reading about this and like watching the documentary last night and thinking about how I would feel, because I'm kind of like one of those, but like even in the United States, particularly, and like I said, I write a lot about true crime. I write about serial killers and shit like that. So in general, I am generally opposed to the death penalty just because I think it's not fairly applied. Do I think that some people just deserve to be like put down like a rabid dog? Yes, indeed, I do. There are some people, but I think that's very rare. Do I think that people can change within reason? Some people that are serial killers or psychopaths or something like, I don't think they're ever going to change, and I don't think that that there's probably any helping them, or that there's any way of like putting them back into society and being able to trust them ever again. So I do think if you don't necessarily have to kill them, but I do think that you should keep them away from other people as much as possible. But this kind of thing, where it was like situational, and I don't know, this just like really bothered me a lot. And it kind of bothered me that I kind of came to the conclusion, putting myself in the shoes of this one woman that he was talking to, whose husband that he had killed. And I was kind of thinking, you know, even if he came to me the way he came to this woman, and he was like, you know, contrite, and seemed genuinely sorry for what he had done, it's like, I still felt like I would want to see him punished in some way for that. And I know that I don't know, it just bothered me because I felt like it made me a bad person, like, or a worse person than some of the people in the documentary, because they seem to be able to forgive him, and I don't think I would be able to. But you know, that's, everybody's different, I guess. And I don't know, it just brought up a lot of uncomfortable shit for me to like, because like I said, I always thought I was a good person. Maybe I'm not as good a person as I thought I was, because I was just kind of like, fuck that guy, seriously. And Tom's like, no, it's like, he's really sorry. And I'm like, I don't buy it. I'm just not buying it. And I was like really fucking cynical about it. And he was telling me that I was being too Spock-like, I was being too cynical and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's like, thank you. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I've just gotten to a point where I'm a nice person, but I have a hard time trusting other people. And so that was kind of where I was coming from with that. I don't know. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So right. You can like entertain the peeps for a couple of minutes.
So yeah, he deserves a pass in the courtesan of that. Okay. Well, I think it was a situational. I think it was a certain situation, you know what I mean, that was happening in Liberia. Yeah, he did a bunch of bad shit, but they were all doing bad shit. And yeah, African culture had a lot to do with it. The shit that he was doing was African. It was very African. It had historical and cultural precedent to it. Even though other Africans didn't like it. Like I said, it'd be kind of like the same difference between Christianity and Satanism. It was satanic. It was the African version of Satanism. Juju magic. But it had been going on for a long time, you know. I think the main obstacle is fucking jurisdiction. What court had jurisdiction over Liberia at that time? That's the issue. The only hope would have been something like some kind of weird international war crimes tribunal, but those tend not to have any teeth because international war crimes tribunals would, you know, if they had any teeth, could be used against the United States. And of course, the United States is not going to fucking fund any shit like that.
Well, no, we just want other people to get in trouble for shit. We don't want to get in trouble, even if we do the same shit.
Right.
Well, when we do it, we have an excuse, but when you guys do it, it's fucked up.
So don't for 1 second think fairness has anything to do with fucking anything. All right. Fairness is not a factor. All right. Mostly has to do with political power and money. You know, if you got enough money, you're going to fucking make it fair. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, if you have money, you can get away with anything.
If you have money, you could have
no matter where you are.
You could have a fucking sex island if you with underage girls on it if you got money. Some people. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It was people with money are going to get away with anything, and that has been true throughout human history. Yeah. Sadly,
he who owns the gold makes the rules. That's exactly fucking what. It goes back to fucking Roman times.
That's what I mean. That's like, and it will probably always be true. Sadly. That's the thing. And that's another thing too. I can't remember what it's called, but that is a very human thing to think that, like, okay, when you do something fucked up, you're like, oh, well, I did this fucked up thing because I was tired or I was drunk or I had some other excuse. But if somebody else does the exact same thing as you, well, they did that because they're a bad person. That's, you know what I mean? What is that called? The attribution fallacy or something like that, where it's like, you think you did something bad because of the circumstances, but the other person that did the exact same thing as you, they did something bad because they're a bad person. You know what I'm saying? So that's like a very human thing to do.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and you know, don't for one second think that I'm fucking casting dispersions on one American political party versus the other. If you had actual fucking international war crimes tribunals, they'd gone after Obama too for fucking using drones on people. You know what I mean? You can use anything on anybody.
well, everybody
does.
I think
this
every
fucking
president
shit.
ever would be in trouble.
They'd be all in trouble.
Every leader
They'd be
of every nation would be in
fucking
trouble
single
because
one of them.
everybody's done something.
They're all doing that.
bad.
They're all doing that.
I feel like even to get in power in the first place,
You got to be bad.
you have to kind of be a bad person. Which that it's kind of shitty that this is why, like I said, I'm not going to be too sad if an asteroid hits the Earth, because it's just kind of like,
well, it's human nature. It's human nature.
It's not my human nature.
Well,
but apparently it's
good people just kind of sit at home and go with the flow. All right, they try to be fair, but if you're the kind of person that wants to accrue and amass a bunch of power,
see, that's immediately I don't trust you.
Yeah,
because
you're going to have to do some shit.
That's the thing. If you want to be in power, you shouldn't be in power, because already you're a terrible person.
It's like nature's going to select who's going to end up in power, and the ones that end up in power are motherfuckers that you don't want in power. Yeah,
that's what I mean. That's the whole fucking. That's the whole fucking shit of human nature, man. It's people that are in charge are the people that you never want to be in charge.
But here's the thing. And I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to get Kirk versus her Spock. All right.
He's always shitting on my Spockness.
Let's say you put a good person in power of the United States. They'd be cannibalized by all the evil motherfuckers in the other countries. There ain't no fish up there. It's all sharks.
That's what sucks about it. Well, and the thing about it too, and somebody pointed out there, and this is actually true, it's that I feel like people too have a skewed sense of how shitty not people in power, because most people in power are shitty, but I mean just regular people. Most people are okay. It's just you only hear about the shitty people because that's what gets attention. So I feel like there's a little bit of a, it's kind of a thing where because crimes get press, shitty things get press, people doing just good shit doesn't get any attention because no one cares about that. So I do feel like there's kind of a skewed perception too, that like people think that shit is worse than it is just because you hear about it more. You don't hear about 100 people over here are doing something good but not all that noteworthy. And then you hear about this one motherfucker over here that's like, oh, cut someone's head off or like fed someone to a crocodile or some shit like that, because that's going to make news. But the reason that it makes news is because it's unusual. News is a business. It's a fucking product. They want people to read it. They want people to click on it. Right. They want the ad revenue.
It's all clickbait. It's all clickbait.
So you have to think too, and I read a book about this not too long ago where they were saying that, most people are okay or inoffensive or not doing anything terrible. It's just that you hear about people doing horrible things because it's rare, but because you hear about that more than people doing good things because nobody wants to report on that because it's boring, then you get a skewed sense of like how terrible people are because you're only hearing about terrible people.
Not only that, but you're also hearing news through a certain framing techniques that they use. American news, actually just news in general, in the entire West. If you go through the history of the news, going back to the 1800s, it's yellow journalism, and it's always been yellow journalism.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's now
fucking fake.
People talk about shit now, but it's like
it's always been that way.
It's always been that way. It's always been that way. They're always just trying to, like back in the day, they were always trying to sell newspapers, particularly, and actually, if people bitch about it now, it was way worse back in the early days. Because there were sometimes in some cities, but they didn't have the internet, obviously. It was like the fucking 19th century. They had some big cities would have like several competing newspapers. So it's like they would be like, well, we have to have the most salacious story to sell more copies than the competitor. Yeah. So they would like just straight make up shit. And they weren't like embarrassed about it either.
The difference is that in the 20th century, masters of propaganda appeared writing fucking books on how to frame and how to write news stories to make them more effectively deceptive. old yellow journalism, it was fucking obvious that shit was fucking yellow.
Well, yeah, now they're a lot sneakier.
Now it's very scientific.
They're a lot sneakier.
News is a product to get you interested and to continue to buy. But not only that, but it's to pump certain narratives. It's very much like the advertising agency. It is an advertising agency. You can buy whatever news you want. If you have enough money, you can pay a news, the news industry to print whatever story you want. They call it a narrative nowadays.
Well,
if
and see,
you
like
can pick all those stories apart and realize, and you're saying this isn't really news, it's opinion. They can fucking mask opinion, and it's dangerous now.
Well, like I said, this is where, and I know you make fun of me for my Spockness, but this is where
Spockness helps.
Not only my Spockness, but also the fact that I'm a writer and I'm a vocabulary nerd.
Yeah.
This like helps a lot because when you see a headline,
you can see a shit written.
I immediately see like, oh, why did they use that word instead of that word? It's like, that's very loaded. It's like, you know what I mean? So that just comes naturally to me because I'm a writer, because I'm into like vocabulary. So I feel like I don't want to say like, oh, I don't fall for it and shit, but in a lot of ways I see it for what it is. Because
the good thing about it is I think the average people are starting to realize that most of the shit
people are a lot more, well, the reason that it had to
it's
get
not as
sneakier
effective as it used to
was
be.
that people are a lot more cynical nowadays. People are a lot smarter than they used to be.
Yeah.
You know, as much as people like to say, oh, everyone's so dumb nowadays, oh, millennials, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, actually, people are a lot more media savvy nowadays than they used to be. People are very well aware of like all these fucking tricks that they use. So it's like, people don't fall for it as easily. This is why, like, you see shit where all of the dumbest shit, who is falling for that?
Nobody.
Old people.
Old people. They're not used. They're not used to it. They're used to believing everything. They're used to having opinions spoon fed to them. 13 o'clock is a neutral show. All right. I lean right. Jenny leans left. All right.
I don't lean left. I go full into that shit.
You're not a communist, though.
No, but you know,
you're not a Marxist communist. But you know, I have a lot of libertarian and liberal values too. Okay.
I have libertarian views depending on what I'm a civil libertarian.
That's fine.
In the sense that, you know, shit that you're doing with your own body, drug use.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
legalize that shit.
I believe the same.
Prostitution, legalize that shit as long as it's consenting.
I'm on the right. I don't believe felonies should be kept track of. They didn't used to have that shit.
See, I agree with you on that. Like after they let you, if they let you out,
if you did your time, you're fucking free.
Right.
You should get full citizenship back, including gun rights.
Because
I do not believe in that shit.
Well, because like
they got rid of multi-bill. That was Joe Biden that did that. Fucking multi-bill was a fucking crime against humanity to give a dude a life sentence because he had 3 small felonies. That's fucking ridiculous.
That was Clinton, wasn't it?
Biden was involved in that. Clinton and Biden were involved in that. It was because they.
I mean, I voted for Clinton, but I don't
They
like
were
that
invested
shit.
in the prison system. Prison system should never be a profit-making fucking business. You're asking for fucking trouble.
For profit either.
So
that's a whole can of worms.
And when I say I'm on the right, I'm not on the 1980s stereotypical fucking evangelistic. That's not the right I'm talking about. I'm on the newer version of the right, which back in the day would have been an old school Democrat. You know what I mean? I'd have been like a 1960s Democrat. That's
I mean, like I said,
I'm not in any of that fucking.
As much as like
bullshit.
We don't agree on like a lot of politics, like some of the shit, because I have like pretty libertarian views about like prostitution, drugs.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it.
Shit that you are doing.
I do not believe prostitution should be corporatized. That's dangerous.
I mean,
there should not be corporate chains of brothels.
People that is shit that's none of anyone else's business.
Yeah,
like drug use or something like that.
Right.
That should not be criminalized.
Prostitution should only be a private business.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe it should be illegal because I think that makes it more dangerous.
Could you imagine a chain of brothels like McDonald's? How dangerous that could be to society.
Yeah, but like I said, I do see the benefit in making it legal in the sense
only
that
for individuals.
Yeah, well,
that's a girl's business.
Well, it's just kind of like, it's like anything else that has to do with anyone's personal, like abortion or anything like that. It's like, that is something that is, you and that should be your decision. I should be able to decide if I have an abortion. I should be able to decide if I want to marry someone of the same sex. I should be able to decide that.
I don't think it's the government's business.
I don't think that that's anyone else's business. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't harm them. It's like, that is none of your business.
It's not a victimless. It's a victimless thing.
Right. You're not hurting anyone. Right. You're not hurting anyone.
But what Jenny and I can both agree on, and my advice is do not consume corporate news. All right. They lie.
Or at least what I do is I kind of like read a lot of different sources.
I trust
on the same story and see how different people are.
I trust YouTubers and vloggers and people that are on the ground over a corporate news agency. They don't even have reporters on the ground half the damn time. I just don't trust them. And they're being paid to sell certain narratives. That's my advice. All right. I don't know what advice Jenny might give you some different advice.
The thing too
my advice is don't
what
trust
you have
those
to watch with that too, though, is that you don't want to fall into the trap of getting into anecdotal evidence. I mean, you see two random ass people on YouTube selling one particular narrative. Those are just two guys, and it's like, you don't know, like, they could be selling a narrative too.
They're all selling narratives.
That's what I mean. Everyone's selling a narrative. So you really have to get, like, you have to step back from shit and get like a really broad...
You show me somebody's damn fucking cell phone fucking video, something happening. That's the news for me.
Although, in some ways too.
And as long as I know the backstory.
Even that could be faked, because a lot of shit too, and what ends up happening is that sometimes people will film something and it will get, even if they film it on their cell phone and that's real, but it'll get picked up by someone else and then misattributed to... Yeah,
you can mislabel it and say it's
something else. You can mislabel it and say it's something else. So it's like you can't...
But that's let the buyer beware.
You can't trust anything. You can't trust anything.
It's when you know what the deal is.
Which, like I said, that's shitty, but you really have to like put work into...
Yeah, I would...
Look into like, who benefits from this? Like, who filmed this? Like, where did it come from? Is this really like attributed to the correct source?
Yeah, but that's also corporate media. They'll fucking twist it too.
But like I said, everyone will. So
twist it too. It's universal.
It kind of sucks nowadays because
you gotta fucking be smart. You
can't. Yeah, you can't just like take one person's word for shit. You have to really put. I mean, if you really care about an issue,
because when you do that, if you just let them spoon feed you that shit, then you fall in the same category as our fucking parents' generations, where they'd sit back and Walter Cronkite could tell them fucking anything. They'd just spoon feed them fucking anything. And they had to have news in an official fucking block of information to tell them what to fucking think. And if you go back in time and go look at that shit that they were telling them, it was a lie a lot of times. Not all the times, but it was a distortion of reality. Here's an example. And I'm getting way off fucking topic.
Well, that's okay.
All right. We're almost towards the end anyway. Vietnam War. All right. They sold the Vietnam War as if it was a war against communism, to stop the spread of communism. But if you really looked at the details, Ho Chi Minh tried to make a deal with the United States first, and we turned him down.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't really against communism. Ho Chi Minh just took whatever support he could get anywhere, because the ruling class of fucking Vietnam, South Vietnam, was really fucking abusing rice peasants over fucking what? It was a bunch of fucking landlords renting out fucking land to grow rice on. That was the dispute. It had nothing to do with communism or capitalism. Nothing. It just had a veil of communism over it.
That's what I mean. I feel like people are imposing a larger narrative on something that maybe didn't really have anything to do with that. The only
military support Ho Chi Minh could get was through communist China, but the fucking Vietnamese hated the Chinese. As soon as America was out, they turned on the Chinese. You know what I mean? And it was not as communist as people think it was. It was, you know what I mean? Had we fucking formed the alliance with Ho Chi Minh, the communism thing wouldn't have never come into fucking play. It was land disputes between the Vietnamese. And we should never get involved in somebody else's civil war.
I mean,
all the shit that fucking me and my boys all went through because the United States and globalism and us trying to be the fucking world's policemen getting involved in other people's civil wars that did not fucking benefit the United States. In fact, it drained our coffers.
I mean, that didn't involve us.
None of this shit involved us. It involved rich people who are globalists, who have their fingers in everything and live in all these different countries, trying to siphon money from the American taxpayers into other markets that they got their fingers in. It's all fucking
It's
corrupt.
all about money.
It's money.
In the end.
Right.
And the thing about it is that
I'm getting mad. I'm going to talk about it.
You get mad.
I'm getting mad.
Xanada says, I'm a millennial, aka seriously, I feel like millennial has become one of those things. Like, look, I'm Gen X, he's Gen X, but I do not want to be one of those people that is like, oh, all people younger than me suck or whatever, because I know that that is not the case. And at this point, millennials are like in their fucking 30s and 40s. I don't know why people are still referring to people like that are teenagers and 20s and they're millennials, because that's not the case anymore. I feel like the generational thing is very reductive. And I don't think it's very productive, like saying that, oh, millennials do this. Although I will say that boomers in general do kind of suck, but not all of them, but in a large percentage.
Depends on what's happening.
It depends on what.
And which one you're talking about.
It depends on who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm very into, I don't like labels. I don't like.
You have good boomers, but some of them have not made the leap into the world that we live in now. They're still seeing things from the older paradigms.
And look, I'm old too. I get
right,
that. Like
right.
I'm not up with all the like latest shit or whatever, but
so they end up making mistakes. And one of the mistakes is fucking swallowing the fucking same old party line and fucking believing things and just taking things at face value and not understanding fucking manipulation, like you were talking about.
It's like what you shouldn't. Like I said, it's in a way, it's a lot harder for people nowadays because there's so much information coming at you, and it's like you don't really. It's a lot of work to sift through everything and decide what is true or what is not. It's, you know what I mean? It's like a whole job unto itself.
Yeah.
Like, so I get that. And I get how it's very easy for people to fall into a thing where it's like, well, I like this one particular channel. I'm just going to believe whatever they say, but you can't fucking do that. You just can't nowadays. It's just like, there's so much information everywhere. And I do feel like, I mean, I'm old. I get tired.
Yeah.
It's like having to like keep track of all of this shit. I try to keep track of shit too, on top of all the other shit that I'm doing, you know, the whatever fucking 2 or 3 jobs that I have.
Xanada's saying that he's sorry he derailed the show.
No. It's like, well, at this point, we're like at 3 hours. We're
almost done.
We were kind of done talking about him anyway.
Yeah, the Gen Xers, we're not actually that different for Gen X. Gen X, we were because we saw things getting fucked up. We knew that what they were telling us wasn't going to happen.
Well, our parents were boomers, so and we
kind
kind of like, I love my parents, I do, but I get we were the first generation to be like, look at our parents and be like, yeah, that's not what's happening.
They couldn't give
you guys are kind of out of it.
Well, they couldn't give you advice on things because the world
was changing.
Their world was changing and was going away,
and they didn't really know.
They didn't know what the fuck was going on, and like, you know, the American life and just fucking the world was changing. So Gen X was very skeptical. Well, I'm fucking skeptical. We all are.
Yeah, same.
The difference is like millennials, they believe in things even if they're not true. Same thing with but I can understand why they believe in some of this shit. It hasn't been proven to be false yet. They're idealistic, and the young people are idealistic. They just.
But that's good though.
That's just
they should be.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody needs to be. We can't all be cynical old fuckers like we are. That would, like, the fucking human race would die out.
Yeah. There's just certain truths.
Nobody wants to be like shitty old people like we
They're just certain truths that are universal. Okay. And they're out there trying to change things, and they think that the change will be legitimate, but it won't. It won't be. Like, for instance, some of them are out there trying to fight for a communist revolution because they think that they'll have a good standing inside of a new communist society. They won't be. They won't get anything. All you got to do is just look at the other communist revolutions, like in the Soviet Union or Cuba or anything else. In the end, who ended up running those civilizations were right-wingers and rich people. That's who ran those civilizations.
Well, that's who runs everything.
That's who always going to run. You're not going to change anything. They're not going to they're going to take these Antifa guys and make them cops. They make them cops, they're going to fuck up. They're going to take those right-wing guys who left the police and make them cops again.
Just like in A Clockwork Orange.
Exactly. Exactly. They're just going to be commie.
Did you guys say A Clockwork Orange?
And now you're going to have right-wing guys in a communist society as the cops. They hate commies, and they're going to abuse the people for being commies.
That's not going to be a good situation.
No,
that's what we're saying.
The KGB, one of the most abusive groups in the Soviet Union, they fucking fucked over so many Russians and shit. You know why? Because the KGB were right-wingers. They hated communism, and they hated commies. They sent them all to fucking, this motherfucker's a true believer. Let's send him to Gulag. They didn't like it. They didn't like it. That's part of the reason why it fell. You can't change people's nature. You just can't.
So, like I said, this is why I'm Team Asteroid.
Yeah.
Team Asteroid.
Well, no, what it is you got to be, you have to make a world that's live and let live. Don't impose your values on others. It has to be an even playing field. Fucking give everybody the right to fucking live out their dreams. Don't fucking take other people's rights away. It's easy. But there are a lot of control freaks in the world.
It's not, though, because...
A lot of control freaks in the world.
Well, because everyone has a different perception.
Everyone wants to control some shit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the heart of the issue there.
Yeah.
Stop trying to, like,
Stop
obviously...
trying to impose your shit on other people.
Well, you need rules, clearly.
Yeah.
You need, some kind of structure in place. But after a certain point, you have to leave people alone to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You can't let them impose on other people.
Yep.
Clearly. To whatever extent.
It's got to be a live and let live type situation.
Yeah. In large measure.
Yeah. You got to have a system where left-wingers cannot impose on right-wing people and right-wing people can't impose on left-wing people. That they have an even playing field and they can fucking live out their versions of reality in their own little fucking spaces.
That's what I mean.
Let everybody do what they want to do. Don't fucking force
within
anything.
reason.
Well, no, you can't take rights away from other people. That's the difference.
Right, but
in
a way too, in some sense, if you live in a society, you have to give up some of your quote unquote rights in the interest of larger situation.
I don't believe so.
But it depends on depends on what it is, though.
You got courts you got courts to decide all that.
Depends on what
the courts decide that. I mean, I don't know exactly what it is that you're talking about. It's probably almost time to end the show anyway. But it's just that you can't impose on other people. That's really what it's about.
Like I said, but see, the problem here is that everyone's definition of impose is going to be different. Because look at someone who is, for example, let's take an extreme example. Let's say someone is a psychopath. And they were like, well, I would like to just be able to do whatever I want and to like smack other people at random.
No, that's not imposing. That's a crime. What I mean. That's
imposing.
That's
it's
a crime.
Imposing.
But that's a crime. That's imposing.
And that should be a crime.
That's what you got courts for.
But like I said, imposing is going to be a different situation. Because like I said, let's look at the current pandemic. Let's look at like the people that are going out into places like not wearing masks and like shit like that, where I feel like they're kind of like, well, I have the disease and I don't care if you get it, or I'm just going to like touch people in the fucking grocery store and like give them disease or whatever. So I do feel like there's kind of a thing where you can impose on people in the sense that, look, do the minimum, like wear a little piece of thing over your face. It's like the minimum we can ask for, and don't give other people diseases. I don't think that's imposing on anyone's rights or freedoms.
But where do you draw the line?
Right, but see, that's like a slippery slope.
You can go like, well, we're not talking about COVID. We're talking about all diseases. So that way everybody has to wear a mask forever. In fact, you got to stay at home and live in a fucking bubble.
That is a slippery slope argument.
Yeah, exactly. So,
that's a slippery slope argument.
Yeah,
but the thing is, okay, now we did a show about pandemics before all this shit went down. And we talked about the Spanish flu. Now, Spanish flu killed millions of people.
Yeah, this one is
now.
The numbers aren't there.
Well, yeah, but the thing about it is that even people that don't die from it have a lot of like symptoms that continue.
But can we prove that?
Yes, we can.
What I'd like to see this proof. What are we talking about? Because Alex Jones says it's frying your nuts. It's sterilizing you.
Can we like not...
I don't believe that.
Well, good, because Alex
that.
Jones is a crazy person.
I think Alex Jones is a fucking genius. He's making more money than me. But I'm saying,
yes, because he's a crazy person.
But I don't think it's,
and he is making money off other stupid crazy people.
I would like to see the evidence. I think it's based on.
Look, I don't want to get the shit, and like honestly,
let me finish. Based on my research, what I've found, infection on the thing is pretty high, but mortality is only about 4 times what the normal flu is, which still isn't very much.
That's not good, though.
But it still isn't very much.
And
it's not, let me finish. It's not backing up the healthcare system. In other words,
it is in Florida, in Florida and in Texas, in Arizona, I believe, several other states.
Well, I don't see dead bodies at the end of the fucking road, though. You're not talking about a true plague.
Death is not the worst thing that can happen to a person.
You're not seeing a true plague.
Yes,
they said
yes, we are.
They said what?
Who's they?
2.5 million? No, when the World Health Organization and Fauci and all this, they first said, I think they said 2.5 million dead within the first few months, and that didn't happen. 2.5 million. It's not even.
The thing about it, though, is that death is not the worst thing. What they are finding now that they didn't realize at the beginning was that people that had it and recovered have had lasting, very unpleasant effects from this fucking flu, because this is kind of unprecedented. It's related to other flus that happened in the past, but has had some lingering effects that are really not all that pleasant. So I feel like, here's the shitty thing. I feel like all these stupid people that are walking around, I don't want to wear a mask, and they're making it into some kind of stupid political statement. It's like you were saying that a mild inconvenience on your part, wearing a piece of fabric over your face, is more important than if you gave somebody else a disease that could potentially kill them or give them lifetime symptoms that are not pleasant. So why, like, I don't get the selfishness.
But that's with any disease.
I just don't get it.
But that's with any disease, though.
That's not really a good. That's not really a good.
You got to look at the numbers. That's with any disease. I mean, you might accidentally give somebody AIDS or fucking any other kind of disease.
How can you accidentally give somebody AIDS?
You're getting there. You're deep in this shit.
Well, that's not an accident, is it?
And then all of a sudden,
that's not an accident.
Well, you didn't know that you had AIDS.
Yeah, but that's one person.
There's all kinds of fucking diseases that can be passed.
The thing about, AIDS is only passed, and actually that's like more curable nowadays, but it's like AIDS is only like sexually transmitted through blood. The flu, it's transmitted like through the fucking air and by you touching shit. So I feel like a mild inconvenience on the part of, one person over here could potentially save many lives or potentially save many illnesses over on this side. So it's like, why wouldn't you do that? It just seems like you're being deliberately dickish not to do that, just because you're trying to make some kind of statement about your freedom or whatever. And it's like, I don't really get that. It makes me very angry. And it's like, I don't understand that mentality, because you are essentially putting your own wants. Like, I don't want to wear a piece of fabric on my face for half an hour, but I don't care if I get 100 people sick. That's really,
I don't think
that's really, you're being a fucking taint.
Whatever.
You're being a taint at that stage, and I don't really have any patience for you.
I'm not really.
And I hope that you die of COVID. I mean, seriously, if people that do that just die of COVID.
I don't really buy it. I don't think it's that serious.
Well, that's your prerogative, as your dad says about the turkey necks. But
I don't think so.
I'm just, it's nothing to you. It's nothing to you to wear a piece of fabric on your face.
How long is it going to last for?
Does it matter? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter.
It can go on for the next 100 years. It can go on for the next 20 years, 30 years.
Honestly, I'm not bothered. I don't want to give other people diseases.
What happens if it goes on for another 10 years, but it collapses civilization?
I'll worry about that shit when it happens.
What if you die during the collapse?
Well, then I'll die.
But wouldn't it just be easier to just let the shit run free and then fucking get herd immunity and let the weak die off, just like in a Darwinistic society, to where that's the way diseases normally work?
Yeah, but I don't
let that shit spread and let everybody catch it.
I don't know if that's really the best situation.
I mean, that's what happened with the Black Death and all the other fucking plagues.
Yeah, and we still talk about this shit nowadays like that was a horrible.
That's the world, though. You know what I mean? The world is fucking horrible.
Yeah, but the thing about it is
nature isn't moral like that.
Here's the thing, though, is that
I ain't buying it.
See, this is the naturalistic fallacy. Yeah. Just because something is like something, oh well, that's just the way shit is, so we should just let shit happen like that. It's like I don't buy into that shit. I don't. Under
the given fucking data that they're giving us in terms of transmission rates, you can't stop the spread of it. Everyone will eventually get it anyway. So I don't really. Yeah, but if look, really seeing it.
If you can just like mildly inconvenience yourself to minimize that, wouldn't you do that? I mean, I would.
No, I don't really care.
Yeah, obviously you don't. Because you're a sociopath.
No, I can face death. You know what I mean?
You're a sociopath.
I can face death, and we're
I'll get COVID and die. I'm sure you
ain't gonna die.
You won't give a shit about it.
You ain't gonna die. When you look at the data,
you don't know that.
It's people mostly in their 80s and their 90s
not
with
anymore.
comorbidities.
No, it's not.
Well, anybody
can
die, though. Anybody can die of any of these diseases. Some people die.
So you don't care about that?
It just happens. It's like a roll of the dice. You know what I mean? This is luck. Luck and fucking probability, and I don't worry about it. I've always been.
You heard it here first, you guys. I'll die of COVID, and he will not care.
No, stop it. I've always been in a situation where you could possibly die. That's just normal. You could possibly die.
Well, anyone can possibly die. I'm just saying
I'm not into this whole safety trip. You know what I mean? Like,
anyone could possibly die at any time. Yeah, I could walk outside tomorrow and get hit by a bus.
Hit by a car, a bus,
right?
Whatever. Yeah,
that's not what we're talking about, though.
Okay,
that's just like a statistical probability. Okay, it's probably not going to happen, but it could. I could go outside and get hit by a fucking
You're dealing with Captain Kirk. Okay, Spock, you're dealing with Captain Kirk. It's just probability, chance. It's the roll of the dice.
This is why. Okay, this is why I drink.
It could happen.
This is why I drink.
Listen to it.
Because you can't reason.
You can't reason with a motherfucker like me
because he doesn't have any logical.
No, it's logic. It's a different kind of logic. I'm
logic.
Stepping back at it and I'm looking at it in the big picture.
That's not.
I'm looking at it in the big
what
picture.
It is.
Okay,
that's not what it is.
It's time to end the show anyway.
It's not what it is.
It is.
You just tell yourself that it's logic.
But it is logic. I've got the shit all fucking worked out in the big picture.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure
you know, if I die, I'm gonna die. You're gonna die. We're all gonna die eventually. I'm gonna see you in the afterlife.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
because there's no such thing.
That's just what you're thinking. I'm gonna be in the afterlife with General Butt Naked, recycling into the next
action movie. You have a good time
movie.
there by yourself because
with the next action movie and shit. Me and Dolph Lundgren and fucking.
See, here's what people don't understand about
me and Steven Seagal. You know, Tom, I thought I told you.
Why would you want to hang out with Steven Seagal?
No, it's just part of the.
He's just gonna hang around and you won't be able to get rid of him. God damn it, Steven Seagal! It's the afterlife. It's supposed to be like heavenly and shit, and here you are, just like lurking. Steven Seagal is like lurking, and he's just like with his big gut, and he's like fucking.
Tom, I heard what you said about my movies.
He's never going to leave you alone in the afterlife. He's just always going to be there.
I heard what you said about my movies, and I want you to know that you're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole. And I didn't use a stand-in to fucking walk down the stairs. That was me. I'm not as fat as you think I am. Went on a diet.
So his fatness is an illusion?
It's all an illusion. It's part of my ninja skills. Look, I got to go.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. I buy that. Steven Seagal is like making himself look fatter, like as a ninja.
Yeah, it's ninja. It's ninja. It's
camouflage.
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. I buy it. I'm just. Well, here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about atheists like myself is that we think that this life nowadays, like that you're living right now, doesn't matter. But atheists actually think this life matters more than anything because you don't get anything.
That's why
you don't get anything after. You better do all the shit you want to do nowadays. You better tell the people you love them. You better tell them nowadays because it's not, you don't get anything else.
That's why
this is
atheists
it.
That's why atheists are the way they are. I'm a mythicist.
This is it.
Okay, I'm a mythicist. I know there's an afterlife. I've seen it.
Fucking make good.
I know there's an
make good with what you got because you don't.
There's all kinds of shit that she says doesn't exist that I showed it to her. And in the atheist world, it wouldn't be a reality, but fucking I showed it.
Yeah, but the poltergeist shit, that was just you though.
Yeah, but there's also a spirit realm. But okay. They call it a spirit realm. It is not a spirit realm in the way that you're thinking. It has to do with fucking quantum physics and quantum mechanics. It's a fucking slightly higher dimension. And it's not only a dimension of sight and sound, but of mind. I'm fucking hammered.
Yeah, no shit.
But no, there are other dimensions to shit. And I can't explain it right now. I'm too kind of drunk. But you live on in a certain way. There's a quantum soul, the quantum soul theory. I know it's a reality, but now it's not a kind of situation where General Buttnaked's talking about recycling into the next action movie. It's not exactly like that, you know what I mean? But your point of view.
Dolph Lundgren dies in one movie and turns up again in the next one.
But your point of view is transferred, you know what I mean, into another realm, and you can reincarnate, but you don't have to either. And you're outside space time. That's good. I don't really. I'm kind of sick of this shit. It seems to be.
Thank you, Nico Cat. Thank you
very much.
Buy more booze. We need any more.
We don't need more.
Seriously. I'm just like. Listen to how depressing this shit is. So sometimes, like, I'm almost 48 years old. So sometimes I think to myself, like, if I don't go, like, die of COVID or get hit by a bus or whatever, it's like, from a realistic standpoint, I could probably live for another 30, maybe 40 years, depending. I'm fairly healthy, you know. And when I think about that, I'm just like, ugh. It's such a long time.
She's full of shit.
I'm just so tired.
She's okay.
I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I have a lot of shit that I want to get done. I have a lot of books I want to write. I have a lot of shit I want to read. I have a lot of shit I want to do. But then in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like, God, that's such a long time.
Thanks, Matt.
It seems like a long time.
That's for General Butt Naked.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Do I think there's an afterlife? No.
I think she's wrong.
But I'm okay. You know, that's fine. I'm okay with that, though. And I'm okay with it because I feel like it makes this life more important. I feel like if you want to do something, you have to do it now. You have to, like, if you want to write that novel, if you want to fucking go to that on that fucking trip,
but to
do it now because you won't have another chance.
To do it now, like you said, you can't have any fear. You got to go out and fucking embrace shit.
Well, that too.
Monsters. Don't worry about these diseases and shit. I mean, yeah, you don't get yourself sick.
Well, don't get other people sick either. You have to think about other people too. Other people exist other than you.
That's not as big of a deal as people think it is. I mean,
well, for me it is because I'm a person and I care about other people.
The people that you would get sick would have gotten sick anyway, probably through somebody else. The people that would be susceptible to the death, everybody's going to catch it. If the transmission rate is what they said it is, eventually everyone would catch it. But this isn't the only disease that's out there. There's a lot of other ones. Okay? A lot of other little viruses. And here's another thing. That bitch was bioengineered. That was a bioweapon. Not a particularly good one. But there's probably a better one that they're going to release. This one was just a warm-up. They're going to hit us with another one. You watch. Because we're at war. Just that people don't realize it.
Okay.
We're at war with China. Yeah, we are. Just it hasn't been announced. This is a new kind of it. We're at war with China. It'll come to light in the next couple months.
Honestly, there's enough diseases in the world that I don't even think we have to engineer them.
There's another
disease. Happen by accident often enough that
some people. That bitch is something that came out of a bat that they fucked with.
Yeah. Okay.
Technologies are good, man. They can make all kinds of weird shit.
This is just I'm not endorsing this.
All right.
Just telling opinion.
reality has a strange way of proving Thomas motherfucking Ross true.
Well, and if it doesn't,
he'll
just forget that he said it.
Listen to this bitch. Listen to this bitch. Okay.
That's how that's how psychics work. That's how Nostradamus works. That's how Nostradamus worked. You just
no. There's a big difference between Nostradamus and Nostradamus. Big difference.
I don't know if there is.
That poetic motherfucker just said everything, and I don't.
You just say some vague shit.
No.
If it comes true, then you say, "Yeah, I said this." If it doesn't come true, you just no, and you forget that you said it.
I know what I'm seeing. I have the training in the background and the education.
All right.
Tradecraft is going on. Timing is not right. Fucking, there's a bunch of shit that happened at specific times, and the players involved. This is planned. This is a war. I know what they're doing. This is fucking James Bond shit. This is Spectre. It's coming. She doesn't believe me because I'm gonna tell you something. She's a good person. That's why she doesn't believe me. I'm evil. So I understand how evil works.
Thank you, Ilse.
Thank you very much. I understand how evil works. All right. If I was an enemy of the fucking United States, I'd be doing exactly what you see right now.
Because you're terrible.
I'm fucking terrible. But the thing is, I'm not an enemy of fucking Americans and American people and Western civilization. I just know what I'm seeing. Let me read what this message says. I know what I'm seeing.
People's perceptions can be warped, though.
Thank you very much, Ilse. Is that Ilse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your shirt's coming, by the way. We mailed it yesterday.
Yeah, mailed that thing out.
Yeah. She says, I agree a bit more with Jenny. Thank you.
That's estrogen. That's estrogen doing that shit. That's how you guys work. I understand it. It's okay.
Well, we're women, so we don't understand how the world actually works.
I'm not saying that. I didn't say that.
That's what you implied, though.
No,
that's what you implied, though.
There's a female dimension. There's a male dimension, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said.
That's all this.
Girls don't understand how reality works.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's a different aspect of reality that women are.
Do you want to hear something funny? This is kind of going off on a thing. I don't know if other women.
The show's over. We still got
tell
people
me,
fucking.
Yeah, tell me if this makes you mad. So
you got time for this?
No, I'm going there.
She's gonna fucking attack me. Watch.
I'm not attacking you.
Okay.
I'm just saying that. Okay, so in my home office here, sometimes the air conditioning is very cold. Right, it's very cold in here. So sometimes I'll go back in the bedroom and I'll get a sweater. So I'll put a sweater on. Even in the summertime, it's very cold in here.
Feet of women, their feet
so
are cold.
Then, yeah. So Tom will come into my office and he'll say, "What the fuck are you wearing a sweater for?" And I say, "Because I'm cold, obviously." And then he'll always say, quote unquote, "It's not cold in here."
It isn't.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
It isn't cold.
It is cold in here. That's why I put a sweater on.
It'd be like 75.
Duh.
She goes, "It's cold here." I was like, man, it's 75. The women are non-circulatory motherfuckers. They don't have any circulation. See, there's always cold to them. It's not cold. Plus, you see, there's something about men with the testosterone. We got the fucking dog age, the dog years, you know?
That's why y'all die.
We age in dog years. Fucking, and our metabolism is running a little bit harder, so we're warmer. You know,
right, but
warmer.
the fact that you think that your perception is reality is disturbing.
Because there's a motherfucking man that made up what a Fahrenheit is. And it has to do with the fucking temperature of human blood. All right, it had to do with the temperature of human blood. That was the baseline.
I mean, why would I? But it's just.
And it was the temperature of a man's blood.
It bothers me because he thinks that the implication being that I would just put a sweater on just because.
Says, why are you so cold?
Because I'm cold. Duh.
Okay.
Look, I just put a sweater on for no reason. No, because I'm fucking cold.
It's late. It's late. It's late. The show is over and the kids are still watching this, man. Hold on. We got 32 people watching this right now.
I don't know why. That just bothers me so much. Because
Xanada, you should feel bad, bro. You started all this shit, man. You started all this shit.
No, it's all right. Okay. We were done talking about it.
We do this shit all the time.
Like I said, the fucking General Butt Naked, he's still around.
Yeah.
He's an evangelist.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted about the shit.
You see, Red Harvest is saying chicks are always cold. They are. They're always fucking cold.
I'm not always cold, actually.
Their feet are always cold.
No,
my feet are cold.
that's not the
No?
case.
Okay.
Like, and actually sometimes in the bedroom, like sometimes I get really hot. Like sometimes it's hot
Yeah.
in there. So it's like, it's not like everything, but in the office for some reason, like, I don't know if it's because I'm sitting under the fucking vent or what, but it's really cold in here. So sometimes I go and like get a fucking sweater, and like he gives me shit about it.
Don't give a shit. I don't
Every
give a
time you come
shit.
in here and you give me shit about it, why are you wearing a sweater?
She's drunk. I'm sitting.
Why are you wearing a sweater? And it's like, because I'm
I only
cold.
did that a couple of times. It was funny though. It was funny. I was like, "What are you cold?"
It just reminds me of like all those fucking episodes of The Haunting where like the woman is like, fucking, look, this shit, fucking shit's haunted. And he's like, you're crazy. Nuh-uh. This is like, it's so like dismissive, and it's just like, it bothers me a lot. I'm like, look, I'm cold. That's why I put a sweater on. Why would I put a sweater on if I wasn't cold? And then he says it's not cold, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to do with that information?
Okay, look.
I feel cold, so
Jenny, we've had too much to drink. We got to end the stream. we got to end the stream. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this show.
Holy crap, we went on this 4 hours.
Yeah, we've got to end the stream. Fucking shit's going on too long. Even though we're still making money, but we got to end the stream.
Ilse says my boyfriend's a Dutch oven.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not.
He's a Dutch oven. That means he's fucking farting
He's
underneath
farting under the
he's
covers.
farting underneath the covers.
You do that.
And then underneath the covers.
And then he blames it on Pookie.
Yeah, I blame it on a cat.
Pookie! Why'd you?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, that was a
Blame it on a
Pookie.
cat.
That was you.
Man, that fucking cat laid down next to me one time, fucking with her ass right near my face while I was asleep. That cat fucking farted.
She does do that.
And nearly
Well,
drove me out of the goddamn bed, burned my nose hairs off. That's how bad that cat
I
farted.
mean,
The cat's that big, and it was enough to fucking just drive me out of the damn
she's
house.
like a loaf of bread size. Well, that's how come
Damn.
I know that, like, when it's you and her, because
She's bad.
she, like,
It'll
only
fucking
farts
burn your nose
every
up.
now and then.
Yeah.
But she'll usually fart when she's, like, sitting right on your chest or something.
Yeah.
She'll fart right in your face, like, haha.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it'll, like, it's like a chemical warfare.
Mhm.
I mean, so that's why, like, when you do
Yeah.
it and you're like, Pookie, and I'm just like, shut up, that was you.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So I know, like, the difference. It's bad, but it's not that bad.
Oh.
But yes, somebody
Fucking-
said,
Yeah, her boyfriend's gross. She's fucking.
right? Dudes
Yeah.
are gross with the
Yeah.
farting,
Yeah, we understand it.
blaming it on the cat.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, we got to end this stream, Jenny. We've been on here for 4 fucking hours.
I can't believe it.
I know.
And we mostly talked about General Butt Naked. Well,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
More than we did. What was that one show that we did where I feel like we hardly talked about the topic at all?
More people are coming in. More people are coming in. Go ahead and shut the stream down.
All right, you ready?
Shut it down. I
All
gotta
right. All right. So thank you everybody for dropping by. We are
Yeah.
obviously very messed up.
Go. Yeah. And it's still
Although,
early. It's only 8. It's only 8 o'clock. 8:41 here.
It's 8:41 p.m.
And I gotta deal with this the rest of the night. She's gonna be fucking with me the rest of the night. I'm trying to bet she's gonna be making fun of me. She's making fun of me and shit.
You love it.
Okay, come on, Denise.
Making fun of me for being cold and for being Spock and for being smart. You know how you do. Oh, you took your hat off. Look, he got a haircut today.
Yeah.
I cut.
I got them all cut.
Well, most of them.
Shut the stream down, Jenny.
Okay.
Shut it down.
All right. You guys have a good rest of your weekend. Have a good rest of your Saturday night.
You guys have a good one.
Remember, like, share, subscribe, do all
Yep.
that kind of shit. And we'll probably do another live stream tomorrow. I think we're going to review that Indonesian horror movie that I watched last night. That was actually very good.
Yeah.
That's on Shudder. So we'll probably review that tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow to talk to you guys. So thanks for dropping by. We'll see you later. Bye.
That was a good show.